Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, now this recording is actually from several weeks back, just with holidays and everything like that. I got very delayed in actually getting it edited and put together. But this episode, we're actually going to go through Questoris Knights, in particular, how to put a household together for them for Warhammer 30k. So if you happen to, say, be a 40k player with some Knights, and you want to know how you could incorporate those into 30k or how that works, we're going to go through that. Now, all the rules for this are coming out of the Liber Mechanicum book. Though through our discussion, we do miss one little way to kind of arrange some Knights, so I'm just going to briefly talk about that now. One of the HQ options for the Mechanicum, the Armigers, Drykovac, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but that's at least how I'm going to pronounce it. He's one of their HQ choices, a Dark Mechanicum choice, and he has a rule. He has high Techno Arcana, Stagara, I guess. Essentially it lets him be an HQ in Questoris Knights or become a troop, and then he can bring other troops in with them. So he does open up some of the options of the way in which they build an army. He doesn't, entirely replace anything, but he does give them various options. We don't exactly discuss that here, but maybe when we do a full Mechanicum discussion, we'll come back and talk about that. But if you are just starting out with Knights, it's not much of a concern. If you have a Mechanicum army, or you have a lot of other pieces from Mechanicum, and you want to do a Knight army, take a look at his rules in particular and see what it does. These rules actually are on page 1661 of the Liber Mechanicum book. Other than that, on to the show. All right, and on tonight's episode, our goal is we wanted to start talking about what's in the Mechanicum book, seeing as both of my co-hosts here have Mechanicum armies and everything like that. But we thought what we should probably start with is going over the Knights. And twofold for this. One, if you want to be running a Knight army, we'll be discussing how that works and the way to do that. But also through this discussion going over Knights, we'll be discussing the options that they actually have for Lords of War. So if you happen to have, say, a Marine army and you wanted to throw in one of these Knights as your Lord of War options, we'll discuss those and how they work as well. All right, so for this then, so you guys are more versed than I am. I can obviously talk about units and things like that, but I'm not quite nearly as versed as Knights. Maybe the first thing, just question-wise, myself, was this something in 1.0, and did you see it much?
Steve, you can start this one. Yeah,
it was a thing in 1.0,
Okay.
and you didn't see it much, not because it wasn't feasible, but because it was a skew army
Yeah,
in
it
a
tilted too
really
hard.
bad way.
yeah.
It was the perfect combination of unit stat line and rules interactions, where if you didn't specifically have an army that dealt with it, you couldn't do much against it. And then on the flip side, if someone built an army specifically to deal with it, they would just walk all over you because they'd take you out in a single turn.
And that was in 1.0.
Like the worst way askew on.
Yeah, but I mean they were good allies. People did take them as allies. Sometimes one Lord of War as an ally, but to see an entire Knight army, it was very much you either won hard or lost hard. And they did fix that in the new edition. That I do like what they did with the new edition.
Okay, because that was going to be my question. Obviously, we're not going to talk about
Yeah.
the comparison purposes for the moment.
Exactly.
But it's now in a place where it can be a legitimate army. It might still be skew, and that's fine because it's maybe a little bit weird army, but not necessarily a skew that's just going to stomp you into the ground.
Yeah, it's fixed in a way where, and we'll talk about the Force Org a little bit later, but it's fixed in a way where you are now forced to take certain options that they're still good, but they're manageable.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I think it does.
I'll put it this way. Last edition, you were fighting models that had a weapon skill 4, which meant you were hitting on 4s and getting hit on 4s most of the time. If you were really skilled, you hit on 3s instead. But generally, it was a battle of who could roll more 4-ups, right? And it was against an armor value of 13, which meant strength plus d6 had to equal 13 to do a glancing hit and do a hull point out of 6. And if it did a penetrating hit, it only mattered if it rolled and explodes. And even then, it just meant d3 damage. So it was tough. With the Power Fist, you could maybe scratch a Knight's paint if you were lucky. Meanwhile, the Knight's just demolishing your entire squad with stomp attacks, chainsword sweeps, all kinds of
Which also
nonsense.
got changed as well, which is nice.
Yup. Everything that made the army terrible to cope with got addressed in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So it feels great now. I've played against it in, I want to say it was like 1,000 point or 1,500 point. It was a couple months ago, off of some leaks, and it felt great.
All right. Well, what we thought we should do to start the conversation before we actually get into how they work in the Mechanicum book and everything like that and building an army is just to kind of go over the rules of how knights just work in the game in general. Because they are a different unit type, so therefore they work under a bit different rules. For anyone following along, this references in page 216, 217 from the main rule book. Does anyone in particular want to kind of take the main parts of this, or
I would say you could, Dave, because that way,
Right.
because it's main rules, so that one you can, yeah.
That's a book you have.
That is a book I have right in front of me. I have
Exactly.
access to the other one. I just don't have much experience with it. But I do have access to the other one. But okay. So taking a look at Knights and Titans here then. They talk about additional characteristics. So it says, like, unlike vehicles, they have weapon skill, strength, initiative, and attack characteristics. So they're sort of a cross between a vehicle and almost every other model in the game, similar to the way you might think about Contemptors or kind of what they did with Dreadnoughts, kind of bridging that gap of you're a vehicle, but not necessarily treating you the same as a vehicle in all ways. A few very big and interesting things about them. Obviously, for like ranges and all, it makes sense. You measure from spots. They tell you that. One of some of the big things they tell you. One is about reactions, and it's the idea that a knight is so large it doesn't care what an individual, infantryman is doing. So you only get reactions against other knights and titans, super heavies, lumbering flyers, or models that have 8 or more wounds. So that does mean if you happen to, say, have a Melta squad and they walk up on a knight, the knight's not reacting to them. So especially if you're playing knights, this is something to be aware of and be careful of. For moving, make sure I get this right. They can move over other models, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, they charge the same sort of way. They can charge no matter what type of weapons they fired. So there's no concerns of weapons being ordnance or rapid fire, anything like that for them. Whatever the weapon may be, they can still charge afterwards. They ignore all terrain effects. They're not slowed by terrain, and they do not take dangerous terrain tests. But they can't stop on impassable terrain. So otherwise, they ignore terrain entirely. They do have facings, similar to a vehicle, so where you shoot depends on the facing. On page 216, they talk a little bit about that shooting. Your arm weapons can fire at targets in any arc except for the rear. So if it's on your arm, you just can't shoot behind you. If it's on your carapace, so essentially if it's on top, can shoot anywhere, but it has to be outside of 12 inches of them. So they have a little bit more limits on the way they shoot, even though they're this sort of hybrid. They go over next about how they end up taking damage. It talks about if you take an explodes result on the vehicle damage table, that you just take D3 additional hull points. You don't actually get destroyed automatically. All right, sorry for that little hiccup there. We had a little bit of an issue on our side, but it's hopefully resolved now. So, talking about knights and damage, if they suffer as we said, an explosion result in the vehicle damage chart, it's an extra D3. So essentially, all these things, if something would make them blow up, they take D3 off of that. So if it was off of a penetrating hit and then rolling the explodes, they took 1 from the pen and an extra D3 from the actual explosion result. If they suffer something that says it destroys the vehicle, wrecks the vehicle, anything like that, D3. When you actually do defeat them, So when you do remove their last hull point, much like dreadnoughts, contemptors, all of those right now, they explode. Their explosion, however, it's strength 7 with strength 7 plus D3, I should say. It's an AP4 hit against every model that's in with a 6 plus D6 measured from its hull before it's removed. Remember, these guys are on really giant bases, so we're talking about hitting tons and tons of things. Also, if you suffer a hit from this at all, so essentially if you're in range, then you have to take a pinning test. Yeah, and you never take more than one from a single one. So one night blowing up only makes you take one pinning test on the unit, no matter how many actual hits and damage was dealt to you. For assaults, unlike other vehicles, they can assault, so they assault like infantry. They are allowed to. They can split their attacks. Yes. In shooting, yeah. So
they can multi-target. Yes.
Yes, but they have to charge something that they end up shooting at.
Exactly.
So you can shoot a variety of things, but you have to charge something you shoot at.
Yeah, weirdly, they don't override the "you can only charge who you shot at" thing. So if you have only one gun, cough, cough, Knight Lancer, be selective about who you're shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Or remember to save your stubber on your nipple gun for like shooting a squad.
Absolutely.
It won't do anything, but it'll give you a chance to charge that squad.
And we can get more into that later when we actually go over the individual Knight loadouts.
Exactly.
Yeah. It talks then about in close combat, when you're trying to hurt them, you roll like against the vehicle. You're rolling armor, for armored pen, stuff like that. But you are going against the front armor. If they have 2 or more melee weapons, they get the +1 bonus attack like you would expect that they do. Unlike other models, it's not limited to a single bonus attack. So if you have additional melee weapons, so if you had 3, you're going to get 2 extra attacks. So what has 3 melee weapons?
None.
Okay, so they just talk about it about a potential future thing.
In case of like mutations, because I know some knights will eventually have tails or something to the effect of, so maybe like that, but yeah. No,
that's fine. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking of every kit that I've ever seen, and I've never seen one with more than like 2 arms. It's usually essentially on the arms.
Orcs matter.
Not in this game, they don't.
They're called Death Dreads and Mega Death Dreads, and I'm pretty sure we purged them on Olenor.
Yeah, they were killed.
Well, not all of them, because them orcs are still around.
Yeah.
All right, so in addition to just the normal attacks, they get to do a stomp attack. Stomp attacks go to initiative 1. You make a number of stomps equal to D3 plus your unmodified attacks characteristics. They're all at the vehicle's unmodified weapon skill. It's resolved at your unmodified strength, but they are AP2. And you can't target anything that you are allowed to react against. So you can't target any other knights, titans, flyers, obviously, super heavy vehicles, or anyone who has 8 or more wounds. So you don't get to react against the little guys, but you do get to stomp all over them at a base AP2.
And I will say that this was a great change. So I don't know if, Dave, you played 1.0 Heresy.
No, I did not.
But, okay, so essentially in old Heresy, it used to be an old D3 where 1 to 2 did nothing, I think. 3 to 4 or 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 did like strength 7 small blast hits, and you did D3 of those. But the problem was if you rolled a 6 on the stomp, anything under the small blast immediately removed from table. So
yeah, you got destroyed. You scattered around a random number of small blasts around the Titan base, representing it kind of stepping and the path it's walking around. Yeah. And they all got hit with destroyer attacks, which was
no, it wasn't destroyer attacks. It was 1 did nothing.
It was
2
essentially
to 5 was strength 7. No, because if you rolled a 6, it was just gone.
Yeah,
it wasn't even
destroyer.
6 plus
destroyer
like destroyer.
No, because destroyer was 6 plus D6. Maybe you had 8 wounds and you'd survive.
Oh, maybe the revised version. The original destroyer was just straight up.
Oh, in the original. Oh, yeah, no. In the revised version,
old destroyer was gone on a 6.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the new destroyer was 6 plus D6 wounds. In this one, the stomps were literally just removed from table. Nothing saves you, which kind of did feel bad if you placed a stomp and it hit like 6 dudes and they're just gone. So this is much better. So you're still hitting at your base strength. You're still getting a lot of attacks. They're AP2, so you are hitting pretty harshly, but you still need to hit and wound them. So I like this. I like this. It's a good change. Still powerful, but great change.
Just a few other very small things, and then we can actually start getting into the 4-star chart and how all this works.
Yeah.
Knights don't do sweeps. They don't pile in. They don't consolidate. If you end up surviving a combat with them and you fail your morale and try to run, you immediately just get away. The other thing is ramming them. I don't do a lot with ramming, but they do actually explain how it works, which is nice here. If you decide to, they cannot ram themselves. Good. If they end up being rammed, they automatically count the strength as 10. So if any hits inflicted on the ramming vehicle is 10. So they go through the normal way that ramming work, but they count as 10, regardless of the vehicle's armor value, and they inflict D3 whole points of damage. Then if the vehicle still survives, and assuming you survive when they rammed you as well, then you don't have to charge them in combat. So essentially the way that knights work are they're a infantry model through multiple phases, but they also still have this armor values and facings and all like that. But in a lot of ways they move like an infantry, but they shoot a little more similar to a vehicle. They charge like an infantry, but they end charges like a vehicle because they can't sweep or anything else like that. So they sit in this sort of middle range between what those two things can.
I mean,
All
makes
right.
sense.
Yes. Yeah. For what they are and everything like that, it makes sense. So where we're going to go to next then, now that we have a little bit of an idea of what knights actually do, we want to take a look at how you would take them both as an army, but then, like you said, when we discuss the ones that are Lord of War choices, that's also valid if you just want to take those. But the most sensible place to start is the 4-sword chart. So who wants to discuss
I'll take
that?
it. Well, actually, before even the 4-sword chart, I do want to talk a little bit about, because someone might be asking themselves, wait, how can you make a knight household army if there's a Lord of War restriction of 25%? Well,
yeah.
The thing is that if you take a primary detachment of the Questoris household force organization chart, you actually completely ignore the 25% limit on Lords of War choices. They don't count towards that. But if they're not a primary detachment and they're an allied detachment or a household detachment, they do count towards the 25%. So that's how you can play a fully knight army. You're not limited to the 25%. So the 4-sword chart is very interesting, and I love it a lot. So essentially, the household detachment is a compulsory of 2 troops. That's your start. That you don't have to have an HQ. It's just 2 troops is your compulsory. The optional is you can have an additional 8 troops in there, so 10 troops in total, and plus X Lords of War. Now, this is where it gets interesting because for every 2 troop choices, you can get a single optional Lord of War. So you must always have 2 troops for 1 Lord of War. All right.
And
by
clarify,
the way, we'll get
that's units, not models.
Yes. Yeah. Although the units come in 1, so
true, but there might be a future thing where they change.
True. You are correct.
And you could add additional models to the to those units.
And we're going to talk about them later, but the troops are the Armigers. For those who are wondering, the troops are the Armigers. So that is your basic household detachment. 2 troops for every 1 Lord of War, up to 8 troops, and then that would be at possible, or 10 troops, in total. So that'd be 5 Lords of War?
Yes,
in case you're playing some 8,000 point game. All right. The Allied detachment is slightly different.
Well, it's the normal allied detachment.
It's the normal allied detachment, exactly.
So if you have a primary that's a Questoris household, you get the typical allied detachment as an additional. You could take it.
Exactly. And that's pretty much the 4-sword chart in a nutshell.
And then, in addition to that, if you wanted to take just 1 big knight, you could use a single Lord of War choice knight as an ally in a Marine army, but doesn't get any of the cool household rule upgrades.
Exactly.
It would be just the basic.
It's just the base
as you
knight.
see it.
You can't purchase any pilots for it or anything. It's literally just the base knight.
Okay. All right, so that's going to take us into going through essentially their troop choices. And for troops, they have two types of armigers. Steve, you haven't done anything yet. Which armiger do
Yeah.
you want? Do you want the Warglaive who comes up first?
I'll cover the Armiger unit type.
Okay.
So, Armiger unit type is located in the Mechanicum book, page 90. Um, it sits in this weird little corner where it's not infantry, it's not vehicle, it's not dreadnought. It reads almost line for line like a dreadnought, but benefits that you get against dreadnought unit types or automata unit types do not apply to armigers at this point. We're hoping that there's an FAQ to address this because currently things like melta-guns don't work against them. But at this point, here's how they work. Successful wounds scored by attacks with the poisoned, X, or flashbane special rules must be re-rolled against models that are armigers. All armigers have the stubborn special rule. A model with the armiger unit type may fire all weapons they are armed with in each shooting attack they make, including as part of a reaction. A model of the armiger type may fire heavy and ordnance weapons and counts as stationary even if it moved in the preceding movement phase, and may declare charges as normal regardless of any shooting attacks made in that same turn. And no model that is not also an armiger may join a unit that includes an armiger. So things to note: they are not fearless. They can be pinned. They can be swept. They are not true knights. So they react like infantry units react. So long as they have the right keywords lined up, and they can, in fact, perform sweeping advances. And then I guess we'll get into the armigers. So the Armiger Warglaive is the first of the two. It is a 200-point model with a movement of 8, weapon skill and ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 7, 6 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, 7 leadership, and a 3-up armor save. It has a Reaper Chain Blade, a Heavy Stubber, a Thermal Lance, and an Ionic Deflector. Its unit type is Armiger, with the subtypes Skirmish, which means it has a 3-inch coherency and gets bonus of +1 if it's fully in cover, and Line. So it is a scoring unit if it is your primary detachment or it's the right level of being allies. It has the special rules Armiger Talon, Fleet 2, and Move Through Cover. This unit starts with 1 model. You may add up to 3 additional Warglaives at 200 points a model, and any of them may exchange their Heavy Stubber for a Melta-Gun for 15 points. A lot of those weapons are not things you're familiar with if you don't have the Mechanicum book, so let's pull them up.
Yeah, I think we should discuss some of these weapons because that's, for a large extent, that's going to be some of the biggest differences when we look at these different models. Like there's 2 armigers. The difference in the armigers is how they're armed.
Yeah.
That's
So
the only difference.
I have the
between
chain
two.
sword. I have the chain blade up right now. So
Oh yeah,
Okay,
run us
so
through
let
it.
me start with the chain blade.
yeah, the Reaper chain blade is a strength 9 AP2 weapon with melee and shred. Very simple. It's a
Okay.
gigantic chain sword.
Okay.
Strength 9 AP2 though. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's a good weapon.
Uh,
You want to take over the Melta, or I got it?
well, the normal Melta would be the same thing, right?
Well, the
Or you mean
thermal
the thermal
lance.
lance?
Sure, I should have used the actual name for it. The thermal lance. Yes.
Well, that one's got range 36, strength
Yep.
8. It's actually only AP2,
Mm-hmm.
but it is also heavy 2, Armorbane Melta, and Twin Linked. So at an 18-inch range, you're rolling 2 dice re-rolling hits on your attack. And then to penetrate, you're rolling 2 dice added together against vehicles. Or re-rolling to wound
But
versus
it is
dreadnoughts.
AP2, which
That's still very, very
You're
good.
losing
Still
1
good.
on the damage table, so it's only a +1 instead of a +2, but that's still solid. It's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Oh, it's still good.
Dice that it actually, if you had to turn it against something that's not a tank, you don't feel like you're wasting it. Because at least you could pick up 2 models, or inflict 2 wounds on a dreadnought.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
And the heavy stubber is essentially just that way you can charge what you want. It's it's 36-inch range, strength 4, AP 6, heavy 3.
Well, remember,
I should
armigers aren't knights. Like they aren't
Sure.
knight type, so they have to
Yeah.
charge a unit they shoot, and they don't
They
get
shoot
split fire.
and they get split. Yeah.
Yes,
They
they
do not
cannot,
get
but
split
they'll be.
fire.
We're gonna see the heavy stubber on other things.
Oh,
So
definitely.
for these guys, it makes sense that they could hurt something with it. For everyone else, the heavy stubber is essentially the way you can charge.
Yep. And then
And then,
finally, we have
yep,
the Ionic Deflector.
yep, that's gonna be my question.
Yeah. So it gives you a 5-up invulnerable save. You gain Eternal Warrior as a special rule. So that's a little stronger than the Dreadnought one, where you take D3. This one, you just straight up are Eternal Warrior. You die? Nah, it's one wound. In addition, when you lose your last wound, hull point before it's removed and inflates with a wreck, all models, friendly enemy within D6 plus 3 inches take a Strength 8 AP nothing hit. So it explodes. But it takes only 1 wound at a time, even if it's instant death.
Yep.
So they can definitely be rather tough to deal with. I mean, what works at least well is they're only a 3-up save as opposed to Contemptor's 2-up save, but you still have to chew through every wound. Nothing stronger is really going to bother them.
Yeah, and I got some bad news. Right now, rules as written, you cannot crack grenade them.
Yes, this is. I was just gonna say we have to mention this because, and I will. And we were talking about whether I'm mentioning it or not, but I will at least. There are some. I'm not gonna call them fan rules, but a lot of the people who kind of play tested, I should say, or even love Heresy a lot, came up with rules known as Panoptica or Liber Panoptica. They post a lot on the Reddit forums. And if you want to check those out, you can. And Liber Panoptica does a lot to kind of FAQ the rules where Games Workshop tends to not. And one of those things they fixed was this. As rules is written, you cannot melt. Well, you can't. I don't even think you can melt a bomb this thing. You can't crack grenade it. It's not affected by haywire. It's weird because you know it's a robot, you know it's a contemptor, you know it's a baby knight, but it's not affected by anything that is affecting those things. So it's kind of annoying because once again you go into rules of intent versus rules as written. But technically, rules as written, you cannot crack grenade this thing.
No, you can't crack grenade it because it's not a vehicle.
Correct. It's not
Correct.
a vehicle, dreadnought, or automata.
Exactly.
Because grenades specifically say these are your options. And it's the same deal, by the way, on the melta bombs under the detonation special rule.
Yep.
It has to be a vehicle, dreadnought, or automata.
Okay.
So it is tiny bit broken, not in terms of like, oh, this is overpowered. In terms of they forgot
like it
the
physically
keyword.
doesn't work right.
Yeah. So it is kind of annoying, but I mean,
just bolter
honestly,
them down. Just
yeah,
bolter
exactly.
them down.
On sixes.
Yeah, on sixes, but actually, I found like autocannons are really good for them. Autocannons or even
Yes.
Plasma will carve through these guys because they're 3-up.
All right. The other one, we can discuss it very quickly because the Helverin, the other form of Armiger they have, is identical in every way except its main weapons. Instead of having a giant chainsword and a thermal lance, it has 2 Phaeton autocannons.
Yep.
Which they either have AP or Ignis rounds. Either one is strength 7, AP 3. They're both heavy 2. The AP rounds sunder, where the Ignis rounds ignore cover, both of them being a rending 6-up. That seems overall worse to me.
Yeah.
So well,
I mean, okay, so it's good anti-aircraft, but it's the same points is the problem. It's 200 points still. I was expecting it to be 3 shots because in the old edition, I think it was D3 shots. I actually expected this to be 3 shots each, which would make this a little bit more nicer.
No, that's in line with GW then. Usually when it's been D3, they've changed it to
they
flat
changed it to 2?
2.
Oh, okay.
That's often what they've done. They've sort of taken the average. There's some cases where they haven't, but that seems to be a reasonably common thing.
I mean,
they're better in the support role because they have twice the range and technically twice the shooting attacks because they have 2 of the gun.
They do.
Yeah, they're not AP2, and yeah, they're not causing instant death. But if you're facing an enemy that has entrenched models in cover, that have skirmish, so they're getting a +1 to their cover saves, such as like a recon squad or something. Having access to that AP3 ignores cover is not at all a bad thing.
Actually, here's the
I
argument.
agree.
Well,
Of
hold
the
on.
two, I would default to the Warglaive, but I would definitely
Yeah.
sprinkle 1 or 2 Helverins into a pure Knight army for sure.
The only reason I would say also sprinkle is because remember they are line, and in the off chance you do pull an objective mission where you need to hold objectives, you don't want your multi-melted dude sitting in the back with the chain blade. You want him pushing up and being aggressive. This is a good, I'm going to sit in the back objective and support fire with a line gun. This is your heavy support squad.
And I guess that's fine. You're paying a lot of points for not much heavy support in just terms of shooting. The reason why I like the other one a lot more is because I see knights as they want to win the game off of probably trying to destroy their opponent and, surviving out what they do back, not necessarily having some models sit back and just plink at them. It's not bad. I just don't think it's going to do very much other than be a 200-point thing sitting on the back line trying to score for you. With the other one with a melee weapon, or say someone gets to you, this guy's not going to fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Where the other one stands a chance in melee. I've seen it with Contemptors a lot. Contemptor's very strong, but if it doesn't have a dedicated melee weapon and someone gets in there who's even remotely decent, they're either will chew it up or at least stop it from what it wants to do. So that's my sort of thought on it.
Oh, it makes sense.
No, that's
you do
entirely accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last thing, because it probably should be mentioned, because it is a rule in there. I
Okay.
didn't cover it earlier. The Armored Talon. It works just like Dreadnought Talons. You deploy them together.
Oh yeah, sorry, we
and then
completely
they all
screwed
act
over.
independently.
Yeah.
Such a simple thing, but just in case, I figured it's worth mentioning.
All right.
All right.
As we start moving into the knights proper, so the big boys here, does anyone have any in particular that they want to make sure they're the ones who talk about because you have a favorite or a look or anything like that?
Styrix. The Styrix
Yeah,
is
I
mine.
know you're
Y'all
going to
can
stay
back
Styrix.
off.
Ironically, the Magaera is mine.
Okay.
Actually, because I own the Magaera.
It's okay to have inferior favorites as long as you recognize that mine
They're
is
both
objectively
good. They're
better.
both good.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. Does anyone want to take the lowly Questoris, who
I know that-
was GW's
I-
first knight model?
Yes.
I could take it because or unless Dan, how well do you know the names for all of the different Questoris?
Oh God,
loadouts?
no! Please, dear God, no! No! I don't. I haven't played a
Okay.
Night House.
Okay, so then I'll cover Questoris and I'll see how much of this I can get right and how many people will be yelling at me in the comments.
In
Why?
the YouTube comments.
Why?
I remember Paladin. That was the only one I remember.
Because the Paladin was the classic. It was the Paladin and the Errant
Gatling gun and the
as the
chainsaw,
original
yeah.
kit. Yep. And that's not how it works in this one. In this one, you get a knight. It has a Reaper chainsword and a rapid fire battle cannon with a heavy stubber, as well as a heavy stubber and an ion shield. So you have 2 heavy stubbers total in there. One's on the battle cannon. One is mounted onto the torso. You could swap weapons out though, this is the Paladin loadout from the classic Knight.
No,
build.
this is Errant, isn't it?
No, this is Paladin's battle.
Paladin was the battle cannon. You're right. Yes.
So options. Oh, so for 380 points.
I would say, let's get to what they
probably
look like.
what it is. It's not. I forgot. These are not all Space Marine profiles. I'm so used to this. Here's a Space Marine. Who would have guessed? It's a Space Marine. All right.
Yeah.
Knight Questoris, 380 points base. You get movement 10, so they're actually faster than Armigers. They are weapon skill and ballistic skill 4. Strength 8. Their armor values are 13 to the front, and the side and rear are both 12. They have an initiative value of 4, 3 base attacks, and 7 hull points. So they're fairly durable. That's a little better than Predators because they have the better rear armor. They're beefy. Its unit type is Vehicle Knight. Not a surprise at all there. Went over the war gear. All right. Upgrade options. You may replace an arm-mounted Reaper chainsword for one of the 2 following arm-mounted weapons. a Thunderstrike Gauntlet for 5 points, or a Avenger Gatling Cannon with an inbuilt Heavy Flamer for 15 points. You can replace the Battle Cannon with a Reaper Chainsword for free, a Thermal Cannon for free, an Avenger Gatling Cannon for 5 points with the inbuilt Flamer, or, this one, I love that it's in here as an option, the Las Impulsor for 10 points. That is the Canis Rex models kind of energy sword looking thing. Love that piece, and I can't wait. I'm going to cave and do Knights eventually, and I'm probably going to be running that even if it's trash. So yeah, that covers everything from the GW main kit arms-wise. It's not every possible combination because dual guns is a little restricted. I think the only dual gun builds you can have are the ones that involve the Gatling cannon. You could replace the heavy stubber that's mounted to the torso with a multi-laser, which is the option from the Knight Preceptor / Canis Rex build. You can replace it with a Meltagun for 5 points. And then you may add, on top of the carapace, either a twin-linked Icarus autocannon for 20 points, an Iron Storm missile pod for 25 points, or a Storm Spear rocket pod for 25 points. And all that is gibberish because I don't know what any of those rules are. I just know that knights are hella cool.
Yeah, this is what I got because actually this is stuff I run.
I guess go top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom. Give me top to bottom while I look at the weapons.
So Reaper Chainsword.
Oh, we're gonna do the melee first. Okay, so
let's first Reaper profile.
Oh yeah, so Reaper. Well, because remember they split ranged and close combat. Yeah. That's why. So the Reaper. Let's do all the melee first. Reaper Chainsword is a bigger version of the Reaper Chainblade. You're looking at strength 10, AP2, melee, and shred. And that's it. There's actually no brutal on that. In fact, a little side note on all of that. There is no brutal on any of the knight weapons. Yeah.
Which is a little surprising.
Yes, Panoptica also addressed that one as well. But it is strength 10 AP2, melee, shred. That's very basic. What's the next melee weapon,
that'll kill Fire Drakes pretty effectively, though.
It'll carve anything. I think it's Reaper Chain Fist next. No, that's on the
next up is the Thunderstrike. Yep.
Oh, that's right, the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. So the Thunderstrike Gauntlet is strength 12, AP2, melee, Sunder. Again, no brutal.
That will instant death a box dread.
Yes, it will.
All right, and then this is not a melee weapon. Was the next one on the list? In that option section? Yeah, battle.
No. The next melee weapon is that Impulsor.
Oh, that's right, because you can shoot it in melee. So, okay. The Las Impulsor is weird. Yeah. So, the Las Impulsor.
The last option, so maybe we should do that one last, because it does do both.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it does both.
Yeah, it does. So, I believe it is the Battle Cannon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's from the default weapon stat line. The Rapid Fire Battle Cannon.
Battle Cannon. Yep, Rapid Fire Battle Cannon. Oh, this is one I always thought. So, it's range 48, strength 8, AP4, Ordnance 2, and Large Blast. So you poop 2 large blasts at strength 8, AP4. No breach, no rend, but it's still 2 pipe plates of strength 8, which is it's not bad.
It's not
bad. Be definitive.
It's not the Marine Shredder it used to be.
No, because it used to be AP3. I remember this.
Yep.
But it's still it still shreds through tacticals. It won't shred through like Terminators.
No. It will inflict a lot of instant death wounds. So it's a great for hunting, toughness 4 things to instant death them. And it's good for going after vehicles, even though it's a blast weapon, because it has a good base strength and the Sunder. I'm going to say overall, I'm not impressed.
No, this one again, it kind of needed maybe Rend 6 up or just something else to breach power armor, but yeah, the book is still good. I'm going to sigh a lot.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Things. It's okay because last edition it was oppressive because you got 2 large blasts at strength 3 AP8.
So I believe it's the
squad wiped.
Thermal cannon? Yes, it is the thermal cannon next.
Avenger Gatling cannon.
Yeah, let's do the Gatling
really?
cannon.
Oh, Avenger, apologies.
We'll tell you the order of things.
Oh, of course. It's my favorite too. The Avenger Gatling cannon is one of my favorites. 36-inch range, strength 6, AP4, heavy 12, rending 6.
I'd rather have this. because you get the chance of rending.
And in a good amount of cases, although if your opponent is clumping up, the rapid fire battle cannon is the better option because you are going to be doubling out most of their models. I know not everything is toughness 4, but your average thing is a Space Marine and they're toughness 4.
It's just a good option in my opinion, and plus it's a
I like
massive...
it for the rending because I don't want to depend on my opponent to roll poorly to kill models, because every time I go to a table, it's me that's rolling poorly for saves and not my opponent. So if I could just deny them the chance to make a save, I'm going to go with that option.
But you then need to roll very well to deny them a save sometimes.
That's okay. I could roll the 6 to wound. I cannot roll the 3 to save.
Okay. That puts us to Thermal Lance.
Yep, the Thermal Lance. So the Thermal Lance is a melta weapon. Wait, Thermal Lance or Thermal Cannon?
Sorry, Thermal Cannon. My apologies.
Oh, okay, I was going to say. Yeah,
big boy melta.
Yeah, this is the big boy melta. This one I love. This is my favorite option. 36-inch range, strength 8, AP 1, heavy 1, large blast, armor bane melta. It's just a large blast strength. It's a large blast melta.
Yeah, I'm taking that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because it's free if you exchange your battle cannon. Yeah, that feels like a really good option.
Yeah, it's still probably one of the best options. Funny enough, it did not change from the last edition. It's still 36, still strength 8, still AP 1. And it's a large blast, which is great. Just poop it on a Terminator squad and watch them cry.
It's great for anything. You clear hordes because it's blast. You could just melt a tank because it's melta. Yeah,
no, it's such a great...
I'm with it.
Such a great weapon.
And now we get to my favorite.
The Las Impulsor. And I will talk about the melee as well, since, I mean, I might as well, since it's right there. It's not right there, but it's close enough that I know where it is. So, Las Impulsor. Ranged. Let's go ranged first. So the cutting tools of the Mechanicum. I love it. The Las Impulsor ranged is 12 inches. Strength 10, AP 2, Heavy 2, Sunder, and Instant Death. So it's a 2-shot Strength 10 AP 2 gun at 12 inches with Sunder and also Instant Death. This is a much better option if you're facing against Contemptors. Because Contemptors don't get affected by Sunder. God.
No, they do take Instant Death.
They do take Instant Death.
They take D3 wounds, which is pretty good because as long as they roll all 5 ups on their invols, they're going to take a hurting.
Yeah. The melee... And this is why you're going to hate me, Steve. Are you ready for this? I don't know why you love this weapon.
I know what's coming.
Oh, you know where I'm going?
I love it because it's beautiful.
I want to see Dave's reaction, honestly, because Dave doesn't know what's coming. Oh, no, the unwieldy. Okay. So, Strength 10, AP 1, melee, unwieldy. Okay, so attack and initiative. Armor bane melee, instant death, cumbersome. So.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
So for those who don't know what cumbersome is, and I'm like, this is the one time I wish you had I had my video camera, because you would see me literally like my face drop. So ladies and gentlemen, cumbersome. Cumbersome is a rule that basically means that when you attack with this weapon, you are reduced to weapon skill 1, initiative 1, that's the unwieldy part, and you may only make a single attack with the weapon.
Ever. Anytime you make an attack, like you could be charging, 1 attack. Doesn't matter. You get 1.
And it's a weapon skill 1.
It is an obvious oversight.
Yes.
It is obvious that a Lord of War should not be affected by weapons, by the trait cumbersome on a weapon.
Absolutely.
However, they didn't change it in an FAQ or anything like that yet.
Nope.
So it's literally a scaled up version of the Las Cutter, which has the exact same issue, where for some reason it's a better gun than cutting tool, even though it's literally a giant weaponized cutting torch. So you automatically hit buildings, which is nice. So it'll work against that. But if a knight comes in contact with the building, it's probably falling down anyway.
Yeah, you hit on 6. Congrats. Actually, you hit on nothing because you're at skill 1 and a knight's 4. Yeah, okay. Again, I mentioned Panoptica. They removed the cumbersome rule. They just straight removed it. I'm not sure what GW is thinking. Maybe they're thinking, it's only for fortifications.
No, I think it's purely an oversight.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
all.
and it's not even what it's in the fluff. Like I was gonna say, if you read the fluff, Lascators are for like literally beating the crap out of heavy. They were used against Bio Titans essentially. That was in 40k, but that's their use. So it's like it makes no sense. But whatever, it's an oversight. But that if you're taking the Las Impulsor, just realize,
No. It's intentional. It's just bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
Things can be intentionally bad, and that's what
No,
it is.
No, honestly I think it's an oversight because I think it's they did the last cutter and they wanted it to have cumbersome for whatever reason. That's fine. But then when they essentially went up to the next size category for the weapon, they just grabbed all the traits. They didn't
yeah.
necessarily
That's not true because
consider
they
this trait.
added the instant death. It's a very deliberately
Oh,
picked
Yeah.
choice of rules.
I don't know. I don't know what there is. I would love not to insult them. I would just love to think what the thought process was of that one. I have no idea. I don't know. But the good news is the missiles are cool.
Oh yeah. Well, first we have the chest weapons. You start with the default heavy stubber.
Oh,
You could
wait,
get
did
a
we do the stubber already?
multi-laser
Yeah, we
or
did
a
the stubber.
multi-gun.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we did the stubber.
Yeah. What's
Multi-laser.
a multi-laser do? Because it's not in the
Oh my
Marine book.
Is it real? No, stop that. Is
It's
it
not.
really not?
Marines have never had multi-lasers.
no, they don't take multi-lasers.
In 35 years of Warhammer, they've never had multi-lasers. They've had las
I think it's
guns, but not
first edition,
multi-lasers.
maybe.
Nope.
You said, oh, okay.
Not even then.
Multi-laser. Okay. Multi-laser is 36 inches, strength 6, AP 6, heavy 3. It's a 3-shot strength 6 weapon. That's pretty much it.
That's
You're
pretty
training
straightforward.
basic. Yeah, it's your heavy stubber, which is heavy 3, strength 4. You're getting more range and higher strength, and it's a las weapon. AP 6 though, not AP 5. So maybe if you're fighting a solar ox, you might cry. I'm assuming melt a gun. I don't have to explain.
No, don't worry
No,
about that.
I think we're covered on that.
The next one would be the Icarus autocannon.
Yeah, these are the missile weapons. So, oh no, the Icarus autocannon. I apologize.
Yes.
How could I forget? So the Icarus autocannon is your anti-aircraft gun. This is a 48-inch range gun, strength 7, AP 4, heavy 2, rending 6 up. It's basically an autocannon with skyfire. That's essentially what it is. It's an autocannon with skyfire.
Nice. And it'll be twin linked because this particular version is twin linked, even if the default weapon isn't, just in case. Yeah.
So it's a twin link strength 7 gun against planes, and planes did get slightly weaker in this edition. So it's a pretty damn good option if your local area does have planes on it.
Yeah. Iron Storm Missile Pod is next.
Yep, this is your anti-horde option. 48-inch range, strength 5, AP 4, large blast, ordnance 1. Okay. It's a strength 5 poop blast, basically.
Yeah. The last one would be the Storm Spear Rocket Pod.
This one is a normal missile launcher, I think, actually. 48 inches, strength 8, AP 3, heavy 3.
Okay.
Which I think is just a 3-shot missile launcher.
Yep. And as a reminder, those last 3 options will have a minimum range of 12 inches because they are carapace mounted. Just something to keep in mind when you're at the table.
So overall, just a pretty flexible knight. It's literally a flexible knight.
It covers
it's plastic.
A wide variety of kits.
Yes, it is plastic.
Yeah.
You can get these for pretty cheap too, I think.
I'm not going to lie. I am a little disappointed it's missing options from the Chaos Knight kit.
Yeah.
To be fair,
they have a neutron laser option, as well as...
Don't they have a turbo laser?
That's what it is. It's a turbo laser. Yeah, they have a turbo laser, and they have a Volkite. But the Volkite you could always run as the Styrix, which could be...
but overall, just a flexible knight.
Yeah.
It's your normal plastic, good looking. You can gear him how you want. Also easily magnetizable. I should have pointed that out before. The knights from GW are weirdly easily magnetizable, very much like in Titanicus. So there is that option as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna want to do that. So 1, you have options, and 2, also when you buy those kits, they're expensive kits. This way you can run a variety of things out of one kit. All right. I mean, so that covers, overall probably the most important of the knights, because that's the one that most people, if they have, are probably going to have. Where some of these other ones we're going to start getting to a little bit more specialized. Are any of these other ones in plastic?
So
negative.
No. Like you mentioned before, technically You can take the Styrix and use the Chaos Knight kit because it's a Volkite. It's
You can do
yeah, it's a
you can
Volkite.
run it. You could
It's a
run that
Volkite
as a
with teeth,
Styrix.
and
Yeah.
as long as you admit that you're traitor, because that Chaos Knight kit is super traitor. But yeah, no, it's basically it's a Volkite, and he's got a chainsword. I actually don't they come with a grav gun as well in the Chaos Knight kit.
I don't know if they have a grav in there, but
I'm not sure actually.
that's
Dave, why don't you start reading Lancer while I look? Because I'm
Yeah,
actually
you can go and
thinking,
take that look up.
yeah, because I'm actually thinking that they actually do have, funny enough, yeah. Take that while I look at this real quick.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so this one I know is a forgeable kit. I know someone who has one, and I watched him have to use a heat gun on, I forget if it was the Lancer form or one of the other forms of it to bend some stuff around. But all right, so looking at first of these Forge World kits is the Knight Lancer for 400 points. So he's only a little bit more expensive. He's move 14, so he's faster. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, same there. Strength 9. So I believe that is a better strength. Yeah, one better strength. There we go, flipping back and forth. His armor is the same. The front 13, sides and rear 12, initiative 4 with 4 attacks, 7 hull points. Composition obviously is one of these guys. They're knights. Excuse me. He has an arm-mounted shock lance and an iron gauntlet shield. And his special rule is that he has flank speed, which one thing I noticed on this is they don't get this whole page has so much space where they could put a variety of these things.
Yep.
And they did.
Yep.
they
So
chose violence.
let me.
I'm really hoping that they change this with the Liber Imperium. The way, I swear to God, the person that designed this book, again, I don't want to like insult, but like, my God.
So the Shock Lance has both a melee and a ranged version. The melee version is Strength 10, AP 2, melee, reach 1, so you swing initiative 5, which is ludicrous, and Exoshock 5 up, which means it's really good for tank hunting. Find it in the ranged weapons section.
What are you looking for? The Shock Lance?
Shock Lance ranged. Range 18,
Mm.
Strength 7, AP 3, Heavy 6, Concussive 2.
Which is not bad, actually.
Yeah.
Concussive 2 is great.
Yeah. I alluded to this earlier. If there's a squad that's like 2 guys left in power armor, I know you want to shoot with your shock lance to finish it off, but if you do, you can't charge anything. So maybe don't. Use your armigers to clean those last couple of models off the board.
I'm telling you, concussive works. I know it's a hard to fail leadership, but like when they do, and now it's concussive 2, they're swinging at you at weapon skill 2, and your weapon skill 4. You're hitting them on 2s, and they're hitting you on 6s, which is hopefully they pray and hope that they don't pass their concussive, because if they don't, it's gonna hurt.
The other gear piece I had was the Iron Gauntlet Shield. Essentially, in close combat, 5-up invulnerable save. In shooting, it's a 5-up unless they're targeting the rear armor. If they get to your rear armor, you do not get an invulnerable save at all. Because you have a shield to protect everything else.
Did we talk about the Knight Titan shield? I just realized something. I don't think we talked about the Knight Titan shield.
No.
The Ion shield.
Ion shield? No.
This
do
was
Ion
really
shield
easy.
work differently?
Yes, Ion Shield is because the Ionic Deflector we talked about, that was Armigers. Ion Shield stupid easy. It's 4-up or invulnerable save against shooting attacks in the front, 5-up invulnerable saves against shooting attacks on the side, and no invulnerable save in close combat. The difference between this and the Ion Gauntlet Shield is that you get 5-up and also 5-up in melee. That's your big difference.
What does flank speed do?
It lets you speed to the flanks.
I was waiting for something really dumb like that. So flank speed. Oh, because it's not. Don't tell me it's not in the book. I'm gonna laugh.
It's on page 104. Flank speed.
It is on. Okay.
A model with a special rule may increase its movement distance by 4 inches in any movement phase, and if it does so, it may not make any shooting attacks in the subsequent shooting phase. Note, you may still charge in the assault phase. In addition, when declaring a charge after making a shooting attack. Oh, you could shoot guys with your lance and charge someone else, as long as there's still a valid charge target.
Yep.
So never mind what I was saying earlier. See, you learn how rules work when you read them.
Well, I was actually going to correct you, but
Yeah.
fuck it, whatever.
When declaring a charge after making
If something
a
is
shooting
wrong,
attack.
always correct.
Yeah. A
Well, I didn't
model
want to
with a
interrupt.
special rule may charge a unit it did not target in that turn's shooting phase, provided the target of the charge meets all other criteria.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the big thing with the Lancer, and what I've seen it played in 2.0, I've only played against it once, is you can absolutely toss your gun, finish off a squad, and then charge something else, or take that gun, shoot a squad you're about to charge, try to concuss them, and then mop them up if they're concussed, or even if they're not concussed. He still hurts with that in the stomps. I don't think I'd ever increase his move by 4. Although, I mean, listen, an 18-inch move and then still charge is not bad. Right? He says, question mark?
No,
it
that's
is good.
objectively good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
that's
is
a
a good
turn
thing.
1 charge, because then you're 6 inches. If they're on the line, you're 6 inches apart, and you're getting at that point a +3.
Oh, that's right, because I forgot.
So,
Gee, or God, I forgot about that.
Don't roll double ones. And remember, you're ignoring difficult terrain, so you're really getting up in there.
Actually, yeah, I didn't. Oh, yeah, this guy's really good. He's actually,
He's
I like
incredible.
him more than this variation, and he's only 4. Only Jesus Christ, he's only 400, which is not that much more than a normal knight.
He's actually be cheaper in a lot of builds for the regular knight, because people are gonna end up adding either different weapons.
I would love to take a Lancer,
upgrades.
and then I would love to give. We'll talk about this later, but giving him like a pilot would really benefit this dude. We'll talk about the pilots later, guys. We promise.
That's fine.
No, I like this.
no concern
I didn't
about
realize how good he was. I guess because I sold my Lancer years ago, so I just don't care. But
Was he part of your White Scars army?
no, I swear, I showed you a picture too. All right, I showed both of you a picture. It exists. The guy, I had an Imperial Knight army, and I did have a Lancer. And what's funny is, like, last edition, he could move fast, but he couldn't charge. I like the fact that now he can move fast and charge, just not shoot. He's really cool. I like him. And by the way, Dave, what did he have to heat bend? I'm assuming it was the spear, because I had to do the same damn thing.
No, it might not have been a Lancer then. He might have one of the other. It's the same chassis with different guns then.
But different guys.
It might have been one of the other ones. Might have been
I bet you it was the Flamestorm dude, the guy with the flamer.
No, because he was bending essentially a belt.
It's the
Then
you're
it
talking about the
must be
stupid guy with the
Knight
Gatling gun.
Castigator, the next one on our
the
list.
Castigator. Yep, it's the Castigator.
Okay, so it was the Castigator. I knew he was. I knew.
It's a belt-fed machine gun. It's the Castigator.
Okay.
Steve, you could take this one if you want.
Sure. So Knight Castigator is 380 points. It's got the same stat line as before, so it's got that base move 14, the same weapon skill ballistic skill 4, the strength 9.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. It's a knight. It's got flank speed. It's a single model. The weapons you're getting are a Tempest Warblade, a Castigator Bolt Cannon, and an Ion Shield. This is the one that's the 4 up front, 5 up on the sides.
Nothing in melee here.
Yep, nothing in melee. So, Dan, do you have the Tempest Warblade ready to rock?
I do, because I'm okay. Slight side note, I'm actually super mad about this because the Tempest Warblade used to be a lot cooler, and it kind of annoys me. All right, so the Tempest Warblade, Strength 10, AP 2, Melee, Deflagrate, and Tempest.
Did you just say that Deflagrate wasn't cool?
No. So I'll explain why.
There's nothing cooler than Deflagrate. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, there was a reason. So it's Strength 10, AP 2, Melee, Deflagrate, and Tempest. Tempest is a special rule on page, give me a second, let me scroll down, 110, that basically says instead of making a melee attack, a model with this weapon with a special rule may make a special attack at initiative step 2. He afflicts a single hit against, they did keep it. Never mind. I apologize. He makes it a single attack on every model, or a single hit, against each model, friendly or enemy, in contact with the attacking model's base using the profile of the weapon with the special rule. So if you have 20 people on your base
You're not going to have 20 people on your base.
No, just if you have 20 people on your base, get 20 attacks.
Just go with 10.
With
You're not
Hold
fitting 20
on,
people.
hold on. Don't forget, it's deflagrate. So when they take a wound that they don't save, that's another hit.
Basically, at the end of the day, I think he comes with 4 attacks, I want to say.
Yes, he's 4
If you're in base contact with more than 4 models, you do this. Actually, no, because it's automatically hits, Dave. That's why. You automatically inflict a single hit. So
I agree with that. You're not fitting
Yeah.
20 models on the base. That's the problem I
no,
have.
but if you're getting if you hit already 4 are you forced to move in base contact or no in this game? I know in 40K you're forced to go to the nearest guy. In this game, are you forced to pile in? I know this is a weird question.
Yes, but I don't believe you actually have to get to base. In the initial charge, someone has to, but in general, I don't think
Okay.
that's true.
So it's still
I
cool.
will look up the check though to be sure.
Actually, you know what's really funny? My stupid brain went crazy. So it says friendly or enemy. It would be funny if you toss in your own friendlies in there. No, that's stupid.
Okay, so stop. Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Pile-in moves. You must attempt to get as close as possible to one or more of the enemy units locked in this combat.
Ooh, okay. So if it's
So 20
must,
possible.
yeah, this
close as
actually
possible, which means touching them. So yes, you do have to try.
So
you don't have to do it in a way that is advantageous for your opponent. So if you're facing a Castigator, you have to move to get closest, but you don't have to go any particular path. So if you can touch the model, but put a space in between, such that no other model will fit between it, you could actually space yourself out.
exactly. But like I said, if 4 or more models, even if 3, because it's an automatic hit, so I'd even make the argument. So he hits on 4s, right?
Well, he's weapon
Against
skill
base
4.
Let's go 4. So most of the time. So actually, since it's an automatic hit, I'd say even if you're basing even just 3 models, I would still do the Tempest attack, even though it's initiative step 2.
Yeah. Assuming you are fine with the lower initiative, which in most cases you should be, because what's really going to hurt you is often at a lower initiative. But assuming you're okay with waiting, at 3, it is still more statistically likely that taking the auto is better than the other one. Yes,
Yeah.
you could get 4 if you roll it, but off of a 50-50 chance, you have worse odds. You have on 2 hits alone, that's going to happen half the time. So when it's 3 and you can do it automatic, that's better.
See, I'm mad now because I hate this model, but I love that. So I love the sword now.
Let me.
I
you hate the belt?
I want to run this crazy sword.
The sword is amazing. Sword is great. Yeah, this is a cool model, and it's got flank speed too, so you could shoot and then charge. So little side note so we don't have to keep mentioning it. All of this chassis has flank speed. That's kind of their main difference between them and the big knights. The big knights don't have any special rules. These are just flank speed because they're longer legged, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, this guy's pretty cool. You know what? What's funny? Again, I didn't look up the Tempest rule because I didn't look up his rules because I don't own the model anymore. I'm glad they kept that AOE cleave because that's where I think they added Deflagrate though. That definitely did not used to be in the last one.
That's new.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Again, could you imagine if you 10 people, you get a base with even just 8 people? It's fucking 16.
Honestly, you benefit from the lower initiative because that forces your enemy to pile in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is fantastic.
I like this model. I like this model a lot. What's the the art? Yes, I did. I kind of wanted this one too. That's good.
Okay.
So the next one is the I'm going to say the Achron. It's probably Achron, but whatever. It's 415, so it's a little bit more expensive than the other 2. Same stat lines, strength 9, weapon skill 4. I'm not going to.
Same stat line.
Same stat line. It's a vehicle knight. It's got flank speed as always. So it's armed with a Reaper chain fist with a heavy bolter stuck in it. A twin linked heavy bolter stuck in it. An arm mounted flamestorm cannon and an ion shield. The same thing that the Titans had. So since I have it open already, I'll just do the flame weapon. The Achron Flamestorm Cannon is a Hellstorm template, Strength 7, AP 4, Ordnance 1, and Shred. So the Hellstorm template is how do I explain this?
It's
So
a
it's a
flame
normal
template
flamer
that
template.
ends in a large blast.
Yeah, that ends in a large blast.
Extend it so the big end is a large blast.
Yes. I know that the flamer template's what, 8.5 inches? I don't
8.125.
8.125. How big is the Hellstorm?
Bigger.
It's big. I know. I've seen it in person. I wonder if I can Google that. How big is Hellstorm
can.
It's
template?
about, I want to say it's about like 12 inches.
Oh,
No,
fuck.
no.
What is
Sorry,
it?
it's way more.
Try again.
It's way more.
Take a wild
It's like
guess.
18.
Yeah, you're close. 16 inches in length.
Shit. Shit.
16 inches in length and ends in a 5-inch wide large blast. Ew. That's great. I'm looking at a picture with like a space marine next to it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, remember, for this guy, that's essentially his shooting weapon. Yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry about that. But this is his shooting weapon. So, yeah, it should be pretty good.
Yeah, it's a 16-inch gun. It's strength 7, ordnance 1, and I mean ordnance 1 doesn't really matter. Shred. It's got shred in it. So if you position him correctly, you can smack a bunch of space marines with strength 7 and shred. It's just whatchamacallit? A horde clear. Smack a
What was
good
the AP? I missed it before.
AP4. It's AP4. It's not.
Okay.
It's not,
So you're forcing saves, or
Yeah.
just deleting sub-Astartes units from the table.
The heavy bolter's a heavy bolter. And then the Reaper Chain Fist. Again, it sounds cooler than what it is, but no one has brutal. So the Reaper Chain Fist is strength 10, AP2, melee, and armor bane. That's really it. No brutal, no nothing.
No, he's his points because of his Flamestorm cannon.
Yep. He goes poop.
I dig it, though. I dig it. I think
good,
thematic. Yeah. I love the flamer. The visuals of the flamer is amazing. I think the chain fist looks silly, but I love the flamer.
I do kind of like the heavy bolter stuck in there, though. That does look cool.
That's the part that kills it for me.
Really?
Yeah,
it looks so
that's
goofy.
Okay. How about this? If it was flipped the other way around, with the chain on the top and the bolter on the bottom, would it look better?
No, the chain on the bottom makes the most sense to me.
We're just not there at all. Like, adding a heavy bolter is like such a nothing addition. Why would you bother?
Just because you could shoot something else.
At it. But think of it in general. Think about this model. This model in context of the world is giant. This weapon is huge that he's using, and he's got a little heavy bolter in there. I think just proportional thoughts, it seems off to me.
Yep.
Because these knights, I know Forge World model wise, they're taller than the Questoris. Like these are actually very tall knights.
These are actually about 4 to 5 inches higher. These are about 4 to 5 inches than your normal. Now, mind you, the GW Knights are squatting slightly. They have the same problem that GW always does, which is where they do the little poop squat. These you could technically pose to be squatting and or standing up, but even if standing up, they're still 3 to 4 inches higher.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about some very, very big models with giant weapons, and you happen to have a single heavy bolter in there.
Oh, my favorite knight is next, guys.
Great.
Someone better do this guy
hitting
justice.
Your microphone.
All right.
Someone better do this one justice.
It's a 0 to 1 choice. A ruined Titanicus for about 6 months.
It did.
It's costs 625 points, which I think it should cost the Titanicus as well. But that's not what today's discussion is. Today's about 30k. For you get a Castus Knight Porphyrion, up to 1 in our army. These things are rare as shit. Because they're just
also awesome.
Resource-wise, incredibly expensive to make. Wallet-wise, also incredibly expensive.
I love it.
Yep.
They look cool though. Like, if you want to pause,
it's a battle turtle. It's a battle turtle.
Yeah, it's a battle turtle. They remind me of like BattleTech, essentially, like old BattleTech rifleman kind of stuff. That's what it reminds me of. It always brings me a smile. I saw it once in person, and it brought such a smile to my face. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, dude, I need to get you in contact with this one guy. Actually, 2 of the guys now that I know locally have them. One for his Knight's Army, one as allied to his 1,000 Sons. Because he was working on a Zestiovax project, and So yeah, Porphyrion.
They're just so cool. They're so cool. Anyway, continue. Sorry, I interrupted the shit out of you.
It's okay. It's okay. You're excited.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite.
This thing is move 12, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 10, front 14, side 13, rear 12, initiative 3. He's a little bit slower than the other guys. Only 3 attacks and 9 hull points. You get 1 Knight Porphyrion. He is a knight. He has 2 hull front mounted twin linked Magna las cannons, 2 hull front mounted autocannons. Those are the standard ones that infantry carry, so they're the 2-shot versions. A hull front mounted Iron Storm missile pod, and an ion shield. It has 2 special rules. It has catastrophic explosion, and it will not die 6 up, just in case you wanted to heal some. For options, we actually have some options on this.
Yeah.
You can replace the autocannons with hull-mounted IRAD cleansers, which I think is a new option. Right?
I can't remember from the last edition. I think so. I don't want to say yes.
I know it's not on the 6 mil scale version.
It is not. I can tell you that much because it doesn't do anything to tanks or Titans.
Yeah.
It won't literally do anything to Titans.
But yeah, that's an option if you wanted to put a little flamer on the front. And that's a free option. You could also replace it with the las cannon for 10 points per weapon. So you could do 1 autocannon, 1 las, 1 flamer, like whatever, right? And finally, you could replace the Iron Storm missile pod for a front-mounted whirlwind launcher with Hyperios warheads. Dan, how do these things work?
Okay. Let's go with the arm weapons first.
Yep. What are these las cannons?
God, these are so good. So how do we want to say the full name? So these are basically Magna twin-linked las cannons. So they are twin-linked before I talk about them, all right? Magna las cannons are 72-inch range, strength 10, AP 2, ordnance 2, large blast.
And they're twin-linked, so you reroll the scatter.
So you have 4 large blasts at strength 10 AP 2.
And sunder or no sunder?
No, it's just, it poops.
No sunder, okay.
No sunder, just ordnance 2 large blast.
So what you're saying is my Iron Warriors are better at killing tanks than this guy.
Yes. Ironically, this one is, I don't think the one you use to kill tanks. It's the other one with the,
no, they'll just delete your entire infantry horde.
Yeah, no, this will delete your infantry. Absolutely delete it. I'm not going to talk about autocannons because
we know autocannons.
Yeah,
I will talk about IRAD flamers though, because that is actually interesting because it is a rad weapon. IRAD flamers are IRAD cleanser. Apologies, I just call them flavor. So they're templates. I would never take it. You'll see why in a second. IRAD cleansers are templates. They're strength 2, AP 5, Fleshbane, Radphage. The Fleshbane allows you to always wound on 2. Radphage means if you take a wound for the rest of the game, you are -1 toughness for the rest of the game.
On the specific model that lost
on the specific
wound,
model, yes, apologies.
Which means in a squad, oh no, 1 Terminator lost a toughness. Good thing I have 4 Terminators keeping the average out of 4.
Yeah. It doesn't really do much, and it's a template weapon, so it's an 8-inch range from literally the gun. Funny enough, I don't even think it reaches the floor because the tallness of the Porphyrion. Yeah, I think the Porphyrion's nipple guns.
Well, remember, Dan,
are higher than 8 inches.
Knights and Titans do ranges from the base.
Oh,
so you'll be okay.
Oh, okay. No. It was measured from the gun. So, okay. 8 inches, flamers, who cares? Las cannons are las cannons. Let's get to the missiles, because the missiles are very interesting. So, the missiles, what's the first missile?
It's the default is the Iron Storm missile pod.
Oh, Iron Storm, not the... So, so really quick, before I even go to the Iron Storm, the Hyperios Warhead, since it's first on my list anyway, the Hyperios Warhead that you can replace it is 48 inches, strength 8, AP 3, heavy 4, twin-linked Skyfire.
Oh, so it's almost perfectly better all the time than the 3 crack missiles of the Iron Storm.
Yes, exactly.
So it's got the same one as the Little Knights do.
It does. Yes, and then the Iron Storm missile pod, Iron Storm, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Iron Storm is basically what we mentioned before. It's the Strength 5 AP4 Ordnance 1 Large Blast.
I'd take the Skyfire one and just deal with needing 6s.
I'll put it this way. I would take the Sky. I think with Skyfire, you can't hit ground targets, or like you snap fire ground targets, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's Snapfire. I think it's still
Yeah.
Snapfire.
Point is, I'd rather
Still-
take that anyway, and in case there's a plane, goodbye plane.
Yep.
I'm not even concerned about those weapons either way. It's the fact that you have 2 Magna las cannons. That's the part I care about.
Yeah.
That is how he will make his points.
Yes, absolutely. He deletes blobs of infantry. We should also mention the catastrophic explosion rule.
It's
Probably.
hilarious.
We do need to mention that, yes.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I don't think it's in the man rulebook. Is it?
It is
No.
not.
Oh, of course not. Why would
So,
it be in the
catastrophic
manual? Go ahead.
explosion. It's a very simple rule. When you
Fun
suffer
rule.
catastrophic damage, it's resolved to AP2 instead of
Yep.
So anything near it gets hit with AB2, and yikes.
yeah.
'Cause remember, for knights,
strength between 8 and 10, range 6 plus D6.
exactly.
It's gonna lay down some hurt when it dies.
Yeah, that's the important things to remember is that it explodes like some other models, but they explode much further with a minimum doubling you out on a standard toughness amount because strength 8, and he explodes at AP2.
Yeah.
So you do not want to be close to
No,
actually
you do
try to
not.
kill this guy.
If your Melt the Gunner squad takes him out, he takes them out.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
And I believe it's what, 6 plus D3?
D6.
So
D6.
D6 plus
Potentially
3,
a
so
12
minimum
inch
4 inch.
from the base.
Blech, blech.
So that's going to end up being probably
Does
like
he
a
have a
16.
base? I don't think he ships with a base.
People put him on base for stability.
Yeah.
He'd
Yeah.
probably be on something that's about 5 inches
got you.
wide. No,
Probably
sorry,
it's going to
7,
probably be 180.
7 or 8.
It'll probably be 180, but
Yeah.
no, he does not ship with a base. Fun fact, I didn't realize this. In US dollars, he is almost the same price, dollar for dollar. He's $638.
As
Interesting.
Oh, I thought you say as a warhound. It's yeah, because he's the same size as a warhound.
No. But I'm saying he's $638. I didn't realize that.
Okay, so $1 per point. That's not terrible for Forge World models.
No.
Instead of
No.
$7 for a 2-point conscript.
Now he looks great though. He's such a cool looking man. Like when you think Imperium and you think just the most ridiculously looking armored robot you can, this is what I think of. It's so cool.
No, it is. I think overall the best. The of the knight models, I think it's the best looking knight model.
Yeah.
Overall.
Lies, because that's my baby, the Styrix, which is the next one on the list.
No,
It is the next one. Go ahead.
I do think this one is the best, but you can go ahead and talk about your Styrix.
So the Questoris Knight Styrix. This is going back to an Armiger size chassis, but it's not an Armiger. Oh, not an Armiger, a Questoris. Goodness, that's a difference. Questoris size chassis because it's a Questoris Knight Styrix. Stat line. It's a Questoris stat line. We got 380 points for it. It's a vehicle. It's a knight. You get a Reaper Chainsword by default. You get a arm-mounted Volkite Cheroville, as well as a hull-mounted Graviton gun and an ion shield. For special rules, you get night vision and overtaxed reactor.
Overtaxed reactor is when you explode its AP3. That's all it is.
Okay.
Good.
And night vision, you don't get cover against this guy. For options, you could replace the chainsword with a arm-mounted siege claw with inbuilt IRAD cleanser.
All right, where are we starting?
Let's start with the most important thing.
Yeah, the Volkite.
The Volkite.
Of
My
course.
baby, the Volkite.
I am underwhelmed by that Volkite. Go ahead.
Yeah, you already saw it? Yeah, the Volkite.
Yes, I already looked at it.
Yeah. There's a reason why, and I'm going to talk about why I'm underwhelmed by that. So it is a 45
It's
inch,
not good.
strength 8, AP4, heavy 5, deflagrate. That's it. It used to be, Dave, AP3.
Yup.
At AP3, I'd be fine with the weapon. Because here's my biggest issue: when we look at some of these weapons, if you have the book and you kind of just scroll through, just looking at the shots on weapons. Some obviously, if it's like a giant, template style weapon, they're like 1 to maybe 2 shots. Cool. But the ones that are like designed to mow down models tend to have a good amount of shots. You have some Gatling style guns that have like 12 shots or 15 shots and stuff like that. And here's this Volkite weapon, which Volkite is known for having a large amount of shots. AP not always being that good, but a large amount of shots, and definitely great. This has the same amount of shots as my heavy support squad's single guy does. Yeah, your strength is better, but at AP4, I'm just hoping I happen to make you fail the save.
Yep. It used to be AP3, which is what made the Styrix so damn cool. Because you can shoot this at attack squad, and unless they had an apothecary, you can actually take out a pretty healthy chunk of them through Deflagrate.
I want to cover graviton guns real fast, because I know you love the graviton guns. Yeah, that's the whole note.
Fucking hate the graviton gun. So I wonder if that got picked up by the mic. Graviton guns.
Everything you do gets picked up, just so you know.
Yeah, just me just cursing out the graviton. There's a reason. I'll explain why I curse.
Absolutely picked up.
Yeah. So graviton gun, range 18, strength star. There's a reason why. AP4. It is a heavy 1, blast 3-inch, concussive 1, graviton pulse, haywire. So essentially, this is a haywire blast weapon. It can do concussive 1. The reason it's strength star is you need to roll, and I always fuck this rule up.
Then read the rule.
No, I know it's someone corrected me, and remember I was playing it wrong for so many times.
Yes.
Funny enough, I don't think it's in the Mechanicum book. By the way, I think it's in the main rule. I hate to tell you that. That's because it's a. Let me see. Hold on. Graviton. Yep, graviton pulse is in the main rules because. Why would they put it in the Mechanicum
book? Well, then let's make sure we get it right.
I'll pull it up right here. I have my cheat sheet.
Okay, pull it up then.
Graviton pulse, right?
That's what you said it was.
Yeah, no. I'm repeating it to myself because I'm there.
Because the alphabet
pulse. Yeah. Instead of rolling to wound normally with this weapon, any non-vehicle model that suffers a hit from a weapon with a special rule must instead roll under their strength on a D6 or suffer a wound. A roll of 6 always counts as a failure. If it also has the blast type, you leave the blast in place, and now it's difficult and dangerous terrain. So basically, if you're hitting a Space Marine, they have to roll a 1, 2, 3 to not get wounded. On a 4, 5, 6, they get wounded. That's pretty much what. I mean, the big thing is that it creates difficult and dangerous terrain. The reason, if the listeners are listening, the reason I curse under my breath is that Forge World packets the Myrmidons with these weapons. And I like to play WYSIWYG, so I have a squad of 5 Myrmidons, which have 2 of these guns on their shoulders. And I hate overwatching with it because it's 10 small blasts.
I'm gonna blow your mind. You could put one guy with graviton guns in each squad.
No, it'd have to be,
and that's the one
it's
guy.
An odd number. It's 5.
One guy. But the one guy in the squad would be the charge deterrent model, slash the charge slowing down model, while everyone else does damage, and that way you don't have one squad scattering 10 blasts. It's
not a bad idea.
5 squads each scattering 2.
That's actually, why did I think of that? That might actually be a really good idea.
Because you just Control C, Control V when you put together units.
Yeah, well, true.
That is true.
I can't help it.
You can help it. You just don't do that. That's all.
IRAD Flamer, IRAD Cleanser, we already talked about.
Yep.
Yes.
Reaper Chainsword, we talked about. Oh, the stupid Siege Claw.
Oh, but I pulled that up. Siege Claw. It's the Siege Wrecker, right?
No, it just says Siege Claw.
Oh, it's the
Siege
Claw.
Siege Claw.
Oh, that's so much better.
Yes.
So the Siege Claw is Strength times 2, AP 2, Melee, Brutal 2, Sunder, and Wrecker. If you want to kill a Contemptor Dreadnought, this is how you kill a Contemptor Dreadnought.
Yep.
The hard part is you got to land the hits first.
But if you could put a pilot in here, that may or may not increase the weapon skill.
In a pure household, yes. Well, like a household attachment.
Exactly.
What does Wrecker do?
Wrecker matters for fortifications, essentially. It's like Thunder, but for fortifications.
Got it.
I got you.
No, he already told us. That's fine.
Unless
if you listen, he did just tell us what it was.
Boo. Actually, funny enough, I don't actually have Wrecker on my cheat sheet.
It's not relevant to anything.
It's not relevant. I'm literally looking at my cheat sheet, and I actually do not have Wrecker on here, which is
Okay.
hilarious.
So Steve, why is this one your favorite just off of look, I assume?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, because it's got a giant freaking Martian death ray arm.
He does.
Why wouldn't you want one?
Because it's not AP3 and it sucks.
Yeah, because he's super underwhelming.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
But
I
the claw is so good.
but the AP4 is so bad.
what that
Oh, actually,
what
this guy, I should make a correction. The
Mhm.
Knight Styrix is not the same stat line as the Knight Questoris, because the Styrix is only
Yeah.
initiative 2.
Yes.
Oh
He
yeah,
is
they are
slower.
slower. I should point out the reason for that their initiative too is because these guys, the Mechanicum don't repair them because they're super scary for the Mechanicum.
Yeah, they're
There's like a
considered
whole bunch
like
of
borderline tech heresy. They're like
yeah.
the
These guys are
machine
like
spirits of these things are spiteful and hateful, and it's hard to direct them.
yes, yeah, these are not things that the Mechanicum like repairing.
Um, I mean, it's a Custoris, so it has somewhat similar looks to the Custoris. Okay, change out the weapons. His face looks a little different, but he is a Custoris, so that's okay-ish. But then the
Oh,
weapons,
I got
what?
Wrecker wrong. Wrecker
Oh, what's
changed.
Wrecker?
So Wrecker is now a +1 on the vehicle and building damage tables.
Okay, so it's actually useful then.
Well, no, because they could have just made the weapon AP1 instead and gotten the exact same effect.
True. For whatever reason, they didn't want to. Okay.
Paid by the
Doesn't
word, I
like it.
guess. Probably paid by the word.
Convoluted.
Yeah. But no, looking at him, he just feels very underwhelming. And it's mostly because of his shooting attack. Okay, he has a nice close combat weapon. Many of them do. His has brutal, so that's a little bit more useful in certain ways. But his other weapon doesn't get you that far. I would either say keep it the same profile with AP3, or you can keep it AP4 if you just give me a lot more shots.
Oh
Or
man, Dave,
Either
rending.
you're
one
gonna
would be
love the
fine.
next model. You're gonna love the next unit then. It's the same thing with a different arm weapon. Oh man.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I looked up while we were
Yeah.
going through this, I have the pictures available because some of these I've seen them, but I haven't looked at them in a while. So I have them up. Now,
Because I was
what
gonna
were
say
the
you
other
do the.
before we go further? What were the other ones that you guys wanted to make sure you talked about?
Well, I was gonna
Oh
do
no,
the Magaera, but actually you
the
Okay,
do the
so do
Styrix
the
is
Magaera
the
Magaera.
Styrix is
no,
mine.
you do it.
Got
You
it.
do it because I was gonna say you're talking about how much you're
Okay.
underwhelmed by the Volkite. So
All
the
right.
Magaera is the same chassis. So go
All
ahead.
right. So let's see if I like him more. So he's 385, so it's what, 5 points more.
Yes.
Stat wise, running across the board is the same for the as the same as the Styrix. He has the same night vision, the overtaxed reactor. He can take the siege claw the same way. So it's his base weapons that are a bit different. He has the Reaper chainsword, so that's the same. He has an arm mounted lightning cannon, and then he has a hull mounted phased plasma fusel.
Your
And he
favorite
also has
weapon.
the ion shield, which is the same as all the Questoris had. So what about this lightning cannon?
So the lightning
Impress
cannon
me.
is yes, no, the lightning cannon is very good. The lightning cannon is essentially a 36-inch range, strength 7, AP3, large blast, rending 4 up, shred, exoshock 4 up.
So this guy's just like hand over fist better than the other dude.
Yes, 1000%. It's a large blast that is strength 7, AP3. So it's still AP3. It rends on a 4 up, so it could become AP2. It shreds anything underneath it, and just in case you penetrate a vehicle with your rend, which is possible. What is it? Rend is a 6? Oh no, rend 4 up. So this is a weird one because you have to add 4. But let's say you roll 5s and 6s, you're looking at armor 12, armor 13, right? If you
And then
penetrate the
extra
vehicle,
D3 because of rending.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I forgot about that.
That's
If you
what rending
penetrate the
actually
vehicle,
does.
every
Yeah.
penetrate you do, if you roll a 4 up, it's just an automatic extra penetration from Exoshock.
Yeah. What about the phase plasma fusel?
You know what
That's
that
this
weapon is because
cult.
that's what my Myrmidons have.
But
That's
what
the
does everyone
Okay.
strength.
else? I don't
It
know
doesn't
about
matter
it.
if I know.
Oh,
We're not
oh
doing
yes,
this for
it is
me.
the strength 6 AP3, 3 shots, gets hot,
And is it
24
breaching too?
inches. Oh, and breaching 4 up. Yes, breaching
Okay.
4 up.
Yeah.
I thought I said that. Sorry.
That's all right. This guy just seems better in many ways. Again, the Volkite weapon, it's not that it's bad. Because, okay, the Strength 8 is nice. You might double some people out. But they have to fail saves for it. So if you're going to have to fail saves for me to hurt you, I want more shots on my near 400-point model. It's one thing when it's like an individual doing it. But when it's one model at that many points, I want a little bit more. In this one, the lightning cannon can do you a lot of good. Yeah, you might roll terrible and scatter away and doesn't do anything, but I have more potential and option, I feel. And yeah, it might not be doubling models out, but at least I have a reasonably good chance of getting through the armor because it can also rend on a 4-up.
And the plasma fusel's just better as well.
Yes, the plasma fusel's a nicer option. So for 5 more points, I feel like it's a pretty big upgrade on this thing. And the night vision's especially good on him. It doesn't help so much against the other one, not really, but the night vision on him is actually exceptionally useful.
No cover, no evade.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you get cover? I know you don't get evade. I'm blanking on the cover.
On night vision, let us check night vision to be sure. Dan, do you have that in your?
I do have the cheat sheet. I know someone asked for it too. I feel bad because I told them I'd post it, and I don't think I ever did.
You never even posted it to us. So
wait, really?
No. What Dan's going to do later today?
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay.
He's gonna write a formal apology.
No, yeah, yes. Apparently, Jesus, I'm so sorry.
You are going to put it in our shared drive, so that way we have that. And then what we're going to do is once you get the Facebook and all that we've made fixed up a bit, we could probably post it there, but GW sometimes goes against it, so maybe not.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not.
Actually, no, you don't really have any good spot to share it then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I could accidentally drop it on YouTube.
No, I'm not dropping it on YouTube.
I put it on the shared drive right now, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you should be. I was gonna say I should give you this, guys, because I hear you flipping through the books, and I was like, why don't they just use the cheat sheet I shared with them?
That you never shared.
Yeah, I never shared. Now I feel like an asshole. Night vision is a unit contains at least one model with a special rule, ignores the effects of night fighting, and no models may make shrouded rolls to negate wounds inflicted by their attacks.
Okay, so just shrouded. Okay.
Yeah, just shrouded. So they have cover, but not shrouded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I put it right in the folder for you guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but no.
It doesn't have Mechanicum, by the way. It just has
fortunately,
everything.
You can't actually share it out. That could be problematic. Yeah. So.
It was the other way around last edition, where the Styrix was just straight up better.
Yes, it was, because it was a Strength 8 AP3 gun. I think it had more shots, too. Yeah, no, whatever. Steve, take the Astrapos, because I want the last chunky knight. I want chunky knight.
I hate that last one, so I will have to take the Astrapos.
I'm doing chunky knight, so you do it
between those two, I'm not taking the last one. Unless Dave really likes the Astrapos, because maybe he does, I don't know.
No, go.
No.
Okay, so this is a 0-1 selection for your army. The Questoris Knight Astrapos. That's not right.
That's also, wait, Questoris, wait.
That's not right.
Wait a minute.
No,
what?
he's a Cerastus.
Yeah, he's a
Oh, no, because it's a Questoris household.
Oh.
That's why it's called Questoris Astrapos.
Okay, because I'm looking at this, I'm like, my brain goes, wait a minute.
You know why?
What?
Because I think the Mechanicum stat line might be different for this one.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Yes. If you're not Mechanicum, you're using this version. You up to 1 per army. It's 500 points. It's got movement 14, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 9, front 13, side rear 12, initiative 4, attacks 4, 8 hull points instead of 7. So you're getting an extra hull point over the other, Cerastus chassis. You get a Knight Astrapos armed with an Astrapos phase cutter. And you also get a Singularity Cannon, which is kind of cool. And you get an Ion Shield. It's a Knight. You have the flank speed rule. You have the catastrophic destruction rule, which it's like the AP2 explosion. You get macro extinction targeting protocols, and you get night vision. So Dan, do you want to explain the phase cutter?
Absolutely. I'll explain all the weapons while you look up macro extinction. So the phase cutter is a bigger version of the oh my God, my mind is escaping me. The phase cutter is the bigger version of the Las Impulsor from the actual Knight. So essentially, it's worse. So it's the ranged version is 12 inches, strength 10, AP 2.
How many shots?
That's it. That doesn't do anything else. It's ordnance 1.
Okay,
One
so
shot.
ordnance.
So you get
Yeah.
less shots.
No sunder, no instant death.
Wait,
Uh,
they've made a mistake. No, what it boils down to is they've made a mistake. There's
Yeah,
no
they
way
made a
that's
mistake.
the
I know.
intention.
I'm laughing that. Okay, and then melee wise, maybe it's better in melee, right?
One would
No,
hope after that letdown.
no, it is melee, cumbersome, armor bane, instant death. Fun fact: it doesn't have the armor bane melee rule.
So it's always armor bane when you use it in melee. Unlike the other one that it's armor bane within melee.
This book, I swear to God. I was going to say the other weapon is actually a lot cooler. The singularity cannon is
Well, I have some good news.
Go ahead.
The
Did they
Astrapos phase
fact it?
cutter is not unwieldy, so at least you get swing initiative 4.
But it's weapon skill 1.
But it's initiative 4. That change is not enough. It changes things, but not enough.
Okay. It's weapon skill 1.
Can we redeem him with the singularity cannon?
Yes, no, you can't, by the way.
Okay.
It is 36-inch range, strength 8, AP 2, heavy 1, large blast, haywire,
Okay.
concussive 1,
Okay.
graviton singularity. So, did you look up extinction protocols? Because I got graviton singularity ready.
Yeah.
Just talk about gravitonic singularity because
okay.
you're in the middle of the weapon.
Before firing a weapon with the special rule, roll a d6. On a 1, you suffer a single wound against no save or damage mitigation rolls may be taken. A model with the vehicle unit type instead suffers 1 hull point against which no saves or damage rolls may be made. On a 2 to 5, the weapon fires normally. On a 6, the attack is carried out with the vortex special rule. Which...
I mean, that sounds kind of sick. What's the vortex rule?
The vortex rule is very long, and I'm going to... Okay, I'm ready for this. Once an attack with the special rule has been fully resolved, any blast markers placed as part of this attack are not removed from play ever, and instead are left in place for the remainder of the battle. Such blast markers are referred to as a vortex marker. It is area terrain for the remainder of the battle and applies the following effects to all models that enter its boundaries. No line of sight may be drawn through, into, or out of the area covered by the vortex model. As such, models within such an area terrain cannot draw line of sight to any models outside or inside, so on and so forth. Any model that enters the boundary of this area of terrain or begins the movement phase in the model's controlling player with its boundaries immediately suffers 1 strength 10 AP 1 hit and the instant death and armor bane melee special rule. If the model has the vehicle unit type, then it suffers an automatic penetrating hit due to the effect. Then it adds a modifier of +3 to that roll vehicle damage table. This area terrain does not confer a cover save, and no model within its boundaries may use a cover save granted by any other rule or effect.
So it's a net +5 on the table.
Yes.
That's kind of hilarious.
If you roll a 6, you essentially shoot a vortex bomb. It stays, that large blast stays there for the remainder of the game, and it's now a strength 10 AP 1 instant death armor bane large area terrain that no one can. You could walk through if you want, but why? But that's a 1 in 6 chance.
And a 1 in 6 chance that you actually hurt yourself and do.
Yeah, you actually hurt yourself. Yes.
Okay. Did you find the macro extinction?
Yeah. So macro extinction is a lot less words than vortex. Basically, make a shooting attack against super heavy vehicles, knights or titans, or monster subtype units. Your range weapons are twin linked. So yay, reroll hits that shooting. Does not offset the cumbersome in melee.
No, it's so much worse. It's so bad. It's so bad.
No, it's not over. Okay, this is one where I say the overall is not terrible. To a large extent, because the singularity cannon is good, although there is a 1 in 6 that it doesn't really do anything for you. The 2 to 5 is actually a nice result, and the 6 is an amazing result. I'm willing to kind of chance it with that. The problem is the melee weapon is really, really bad. If they made that a little bit better, this guy would be worth his points.
Honestly, just get rid of cumbersome. I have no idea why they have cumbersome. It's 1 attack. Listen, if cumbersome said 1 attack, but at normal weapon skill, fine. Screw it. It's supposed to be a really powerful, strong attack. I can understand. But why also make it weapon skill 1?
Yeah.
Because suffer. By the way,
Like,
another correction for this one. The
oh,
Astro has catastrophic destruction, not catastrophic explosion. Catastrophic destruction says when you explode, you do it at AP 1,
oh,
which is
apologies.
better than AP 2.
It makes sense.
Uh,
The singularity cannon goes
yup.
off.
You get a little localized black hole for a second. It's kind of great.
Yeah. So overall, honestly, I don't think he's that bad because his shooting weapon is quite good under most conditions. His melee weapon's not great, but if someone's in melee with you, you do have stomp, so you do get some stuff to happen.
And you can walk
But
away.
yeah, and you can just walk away. If they remove the cumbersome, then I think this guy could be worth his 500. Right now,
I
he's probably
agree
not worth
100%.
500, but I wouldn't. If you like the model, I wouldn't say you've made a bad decision.
I
Like if
will
you
say
like
the model is in my top 3.
yes.
That
Oh,
singularity
absolutely. Yeah, I looked
cannon.
it up. He's a great looking
Yeah, look at that
model.
little flange that opens up. So good.
Yeah, like the Strix right now kind of feels like that's just a bad choice. This
Yes.
guy feels like if you really like him, you could make it work. You're gonna be, handicap yourself a little bit, but that's okay. You can play for fun.
Although that
Whereas
1
some
in
of the
6
other ones, you are
chance,
handicapped in quite a bit.
if you do roll that 6, yikes. To whatever
Oh
the
yeah,
hell you just hit.
yes, no, very true. But let's face it, there's also, in the game, you're going to roll a 1 sooner or later, and this guy's going to spend a turn doing nothing, and you're going to remember that game with him when you rolled 3 1s in a row out of all the games you ever played, and that's the part that's going to stick in your
Yeah.
mind. But
All
all
right.
right, that
This
gives
guy,
us
the
one
goofiest
guy
looking
left.
Yep. So this is the Acastus Knight Asterius. He's also the goofiest looking one in my opinion, but I
Yes.
do love him.
I
I
hate
do
the
love his
arms.
goofy
I
looking
hate
arms.
the arms so much. The
So this
arms
is
are so
basically,
bad.
I think the same stat line as a Porphyrion, but just in case, move 12, weapon and skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 10, 14, 13, 12 for front, side, and rear. Initiative 3, 3 attacks, hull points 9. We're looking at catastrophic explosion. It will not die 6 up, and night vision, so very normal. Its weapons, which is what we care about. It's got 2 twin-linked heavy conversion beam cannons. It's got probably the most powerful weapon in the game, the Karachnos mortar battery. And it's got 2 Volkite culverins, whoever cares, and an ion shield. So let's go with the conversion beamers first. The heavy conversion beam cannon is basically the same exact thing as a conversion beam cannon. It changes per range. So the rules are heavy 1, large blast, blind. That doesn't change. What changes is when you are between 0 and 18, it's strength 7 AP dash. When you are 18 to 42, it's strength 9 AP 4. And when you're outside of 42, it's strength 12 AP 1. So most of the time, you're going to be strength 9 AP 4 with 4 large blasts and blind, which seems a lot worse than the Porphyrion, right? That kind of sucks. But it also has the Karachnos missile battery, which is disgusting. The mortar battery. Sorry, I keep calling it a missile battery. It's the mortar battery, whatever. The Karachnos mortar battery is 60-inch range, strength 6, AP 4. It is a heavy 1 massive blast. So massive blast, by the way. That's 7-inch blast. So that's the apocalypse blast, essentially. Barrage, Fleshbane, Radphage, Ignores Cover, Pinning, Shell Shock 3, and Crawling Fire.
That was a lot of words.
Wow.
So to recap, you are shooting a 7-inch blast that will always wound on 2s, unless there's a dreadnought, then you're doing something else. Don't worry about Radphage. If you take a wound, you're -1 toughness. Who cares? Ignores the cover, will pin. When you take that pinning check, it's at shell shock -3, so -3 to your leadership, and you can crawling fire that sucker to move it 2 inches in case you scatter a little bit, or maybe you just want to hit more dudes. Yeah.
That sounds kind of dope. The
Yeah.
AP4
So
is a
whereas
bit of a letdown, but still.
So it's a
great.
very different Porphyrion. The Porphyrion is strength 10, AP 2, 4 large blasts. It's going to hit Terminators. It's going to hit anything it wants. It's going to kill them. This is more of you take conversion beamers, you shoot them at different things, and then your Carachnos will most likely pin something because remember, it has night vision. So on the first turn, you're taking a shell shock or a pinning test at -4 leadership. So leadership, what, 4 on Marines with the sergeant?
Yeah, if you're -4, it would be, yeah.
And it's a 7-inch blast. So there's a very good chance you can hit multiple squads with this, and it's crawling fire, so you can absolutely shimmy that thing around to hit more people.
And remember, with crawling fire, if you move it, you have to be able to move it in such a way to hit more.
Yeah, hit more people. That was my specific
swapping
thing.
over to hit another unit doesn't get you more bodies, then it's not allowed to be done.
True. Yeah, this is it's a. I mean, what can not much to say about it. It's just a big, throws out large blasts, not as AP heavy as the other one, but that's not its job. Unless, of course, you're outside of 42. If you're outside of 42, then the conversion beamers are AP 1 and strength 12. So,
yeah. No, this guy, again, he's very expensive because he's 625 the same way the Porphyrion was, but he is very good. He does a lot of good.
Yeah.
I would say again are 0 to 1.
Yes.
He is also super, super expensive for Forge World.
Is he more expensive or less expensive? I was trying to find him, but I couldn't.
I had to search for him separately, actually, to find him.
I think
I only have him in
Asterius
pounds
wrong.
right now, so that doesn't help.
Here, I got you. Asterius. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
He is. How much did I say the other one was? 6. The same points, like 638.
It was
He's
about
cheaper.
the same. Yeah, he
588.
actually is cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, 588.
Yeah.
It's probably because they still have their initial production. Those models butt ugly.
How dare you, sir?
No, Steve's not wrong. I'm back and forth on how I feel about it.
It's the arms, in my opinion.
No,
the arms absolutely kill it. If it had the danger turtle shape, I'd like it a lot more. But
yes, I think that's the problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's very similar to a larger, sort of chunkier Questoris in base body shape, but then you have these giant arms that come off of it with a reasonably small connection. And I think it gives it a weird proportion.
I think had it
because the
just
guns
the
take up so much volume, and they have an itty bitty arm connection. And compared to everything else in the Knight lineup, it looks out of place.
If it did the same Porphyrion connection where the arms were more high up, like direct connection to the body, it would look a lot better in my opinion.
Oh hell yeah!
But still a cool looking model. Still on the tabletop, intimidating as hell. And conversion beamers look awesome. I think that's the last night.
That's the last.
So that is the last night overall. Yeah. So if you are running as an army this way, then you have a decent amount of choices, but not huge. Remember, you had to take a bunch of Armigers to be able to run any of this, so you wouldn't necessarily need tons and tons of big knights because you're filling up some points with Armigers as well. You could get by with the stuff you have from normal 40k and use that, or if you happen to have one Forge World Knight that you really like. So there's good options. Now the other big difference is these pilots, right?
Yes, the household ranks.
Okay, where are these guys?
Apologies. We'll begin on page 88. And these can be purchased or selected as part of a Questoris household detachment. So again, main detachment. And you may select one upgrade from those listed below for each Lord of War choice. So any Lord of War choice selected may select one upgrade from below. And some of them are limited. That's basically, so some are 0 to 1, some are 0 to 2, so on and so forth. But they add points, but they also add things, essentially. Go one by one, each guy. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. How many of these things do we have?
Not many. I think it's only 8.
Only 8, says Dan.
9. Not many of them are very complicated. Okay. Literally, some of them are just plus. Yeah, the beginning ones are a little bit more, but not by much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. So for anyone following along the show notes, for timestamps, I'm just going to put down the fact that we're talking through these ranks, essentially the pilots. I'm not going to break it down more than that. But if there's anyone in particular, no, because they won't be quite long enough. But you'll know at least when we're talking about these.
Exactly. So I'll start it off so you can do it. So Seneschals are plus 80 points on top of whatever knight you put him in, Lord of War. Seneschals are also 0 to 1 choice. You only get one of these. And again, just to kind of cement it, only a single unit in the Questoris hostile detachment may be upgraded at the Seneschal rank. And in a Castus Knight, Porphyrion or Castus Knight Asterius may not be given this upgrade. So you actually cannot give it to the Porphyrion or the Asterius. So a model with this upgrade gains the character unit subtype and increases its weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics by +1. In addition, if the Questoris household detachment is a primary detachment of the army, then this model is basically chosen as the army's warlord. If selected as the army's warlord, you gain the following warlord trait, which basically states that any friendly model with the vehicle unit type and the knight subtype within 8 inches may make a reaction as per the standard rules, ignoring the usual restrictions for knights and titans. In addition, you may make an additional reaction in the shooting phase. So
This
essentially,
guy's required. You need to take him.
yeah, you get +1 ballistic skill, +1 weapon skill. I'm going to talk about a problem with this in a second. It takes 5 seconds. But you get +1 weapon skill, +1 ballistic skill. And you get the warlord trait of anyone within 8 inches that's a knight gets to react. And you get 2 shooting phase reactions. Take
So
him.
what's your problem with this?
He becomes a character.
Okay.
Currently, in this current edition of 30K, how challenges work, if you charge him and you have a character, I can only kill that character.
Well, Dan, I have some good news for you. On the next page, there's a little box out about knights and the character unit subtype.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
beautiful.
I'll cover that real fast since this seems to be a major point of pain for you.
Oh, good.
Unless otherwise specified, a model with the knight unit subtype and the character unit subtype may not issue or accept challenges.
Oh, thank God. Thank you,
except
GW.
when the enemy unit includes at least one model with a knight, titan, or monstrous subtype, or the Primarch unit type.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in those circumstances, the challenge must be accepted by a model with the knight, titan, blah, 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 blah. While engaged, they may not leave combat or the challenge and may not make any stomp attacks.
So still restrictive, but not as restrictive as I thought.
Not nearly as restrictive.
So,
yeah, exactly.
You're going to gain some honor duels. You're going to have, Sanguinius 1v1ing this guy.
No, but 80 points, +1 ballistic skill, +1 weapon skill. I put him on a Lancer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, weapon skill
honestly,
5 Lancer.
Though, okay, that's nice. Honestly, to me, the biggest thing is the fact that now you can do normal reactions.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, most of the stuff, taking it from a normal perspective, if you're playing knights, you're probably not always playing against knights. You're probably, your friend has a more normal army, and you get 0 reactions versus that army. Now at least you get to actually do something.
Yeah, you shoot back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Who wants to take Arbalester?
I'll take it. Why not? It's the next one there. So, just looking at what they actually talk about. So these guys are good at dealing death and destruction from a distance. All right. So it's 55 points for this upgrade. A model with this upgrade increases ballistic skill characteristic by +1, and it becomes a character. So it gains a character unit subtype and Arbalister special rule. What that special rule says is when a model with this special rule is required to make a scatter roll an additional scatter die, and then you choose which one to use for the scatter roll.
This is such a unique rule.
Yes, very unique and exceedingly useful, and is absolutely great on your Porphyrion.
Yep, because it's twin linked. So you roll 2d6, 2 scatter dice, and if you don't like them, re-roll.
Yeah. I mean, your ballistic skill goes up by 1, which is very nice. And you're rerolling a scatter die, or adding another scatter die in, so you're very likely to get results that you actually want. Right. And gaining the character is not honestly really a big deal. It really isn't. But no, I think this one is really, really good.
I mean, Alpha Legion care if you're a character.
True. Yeah. There's cases that
they might get a benefit, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah, you get more of a benefit. Yeah, there's things that might be detriment for the fact that you're a character, but not enough to overrule the fact of what you get for this.
Oh,
This
absolutely.
one's great.
Yeah.
My favorite one.
If you're staying plastic, I would do this on probably like a Gatling thermal cannon paired knight.
That would be
Yes.
good.
Because it still has melee potential with the stomp attacks, so it's not useless there. You got the Gatling hitting on 2s, and the thermal lance is going to be pretty damn accurate. Yeah.
Go big ball. Go double thermal lance.
You can't go double thermal lance.
Oh, you
Nope,
can't. Okay.
can't
Because
do
the
it.
melee arm could be melee weapons
Oh,
or
got it.
a
Okay.
Gatling gun. And then the gun
That's
arm
fine.
could be any gun.
Yeah. All right,
Go ahead,
Steve, I
Steve.
think that puts you on the Aspirant.
Yeah. The Aspirant. For negative 30 points. What? Wait, we could make our knights cheaper? Yes, because we're
This
going
is a
to
really cool
reduce the weapon skill and ballistic skill by 1, and then the movement by 2. This is a
Bravo.
rookie knight.
And actually useful. Because if you're
Yes.
above 30 points or above 60 points, you're forced to take armatures, make them stupid.
Yeah, it's
What do you No,
it's good
this
for a
is for
list
the
builder.
Oh,
knight.
sorry, the Lord of War, yeah. Make like a
Yeah.
knight stupid to save your points, yeah.
But honestly, there's certain types of knights where that's not such a big concern because of the way they shoot. Anyone who has a blast, losing a ballistic skill on a blast is not it
True.
is much less detrimental.
I mean, it'll be
Because you have
0 pain on the Flamer Boy.
Yes. Yeah, you put it on him. Okay, your close combat's a little bit worse,
Actually,
But
but
a
that's
I'm
not
gonna
my
make
little
I'm gonna
concern.
bit
make it even
slower.
better. On the Gatling Boy with the automatic hit sword.
Yeah.
I mean,
He automatically
the
hits
gun
with
will
his
hurt,
sword
but
anyway.
the sword will have a complete ball. Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
he shoots less with his
also,
12
this
shots.
is a way to cheat in a knight as in the tradition as sorry, I'll start the sentence over because I jumbled that completely. If you take the knight detachment as a supplementary optional detachment, the knights still have to adhere to the Lords of War 25% limit. It could be that you could cheat in something to a lower points value than it normally would by making it an aspirant. I don't know if it's
You don't have
really
to
going to
have these
make it
guys
or
as your
break
main
it.
army to do this.
Correct. They just have to be in a household detachment.
And a household detachment.
Oh, okay.
So it can't be a solo knight, but Armigers are not bad. I mean, they're a little pricey, but I feel like they're better balanced contemptors. So, you're not going to regret having Armigers handy. So, grab a couple Armigers, grab a knight, make it a little bit cheaper if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Armigers don't count towards the 25%, just the knight does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take the Octeller. The Octeller, a model with subgrade, increase. It's 55 points, so it's the same as the Blast one. You may increase its weapon skill by +1, and you gain the character unit subtype in the Octeller special role. When engaged in a challenge against an enemy model with the Knight, Titan, Monstrous unit subtype, or the Primarch unit type, or the model with wound characteristic of 8 or higher, a model with, that could be demons, by the way, a model with the special rule gains +1 weapon skill and +1 attack. This bonus to weapon skill is in addition to the +1 weapon skill increase from above. This one's more meta dependent. Unless the other person is taking knights or
If
monsters or
if
primarchs.
if your community is like, yeah, man, I bring Lionel Johnson to every game, like
Yeah, now your
you
weapon
bring one
skill
of these and be
6.
like, okay, let's go.
Yeah,
I
now
mean,
your weapon
Johnson
skill
will
6.
still have a better weapon skill, I think.
Exactly.
But
But still,
Yes,
your
he
weapon
will.
skill 6,
Yeah.
which is not bad. And you get an additional attack. But again, very meta dependent. Still cool that it's there. It's neat.
oh yeah,
All right. That moves us on to Dolores. Dolores, I guess maybe? Oh, it's not like
I have
Dolores like a
no
name.
idea.
I'll go Dolores. I like that better. 35 points. If you have this, your weapon skill goes up by 1, you gain the character subtype, and you get the Dolores special rule. So similar to the other one, but you get a different special rule. A model with this special rule may attempt to make a sweeping advance. So
that's
it's
actually
20
huge.
points. Yeah, it's 20 points cheaper, and I like it more because it's going to apply a lot more often.
Yes.
And being able to sweep is really good because if they're a big unit, you know, you might not kill them all. You really may not. Because remember, in general, you might not be overwatching. So they get in, they get to do some damage to you. There's a reasonable chance they might lose because if you lose the combat, you've probably been destroyed because you don't have tons and tons of hull points if they were able to do that much. So you probably killed a good bit of them. They fail, and now you can sweep them. I think this one's actually really good if melee is sort of the build that you want.
Yep.
All right. That puts it to Steve.
Steve, yep.
Yup. So next up we have Implacable for 65 points. You increase your hull points by 1. Gain the character subtype and the Implacable special rule, which states that no attack targeting a model with this rule may inflict more than a single hull point of damage, including those attacks for the Exoshock special rule.
Yep.
This one's good too.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all pretty damn good.
There's ones I like a lot more than others, but this
Yeah.
one is exceedingly good because the extra hull point is very important. 65 points for an extra hull point is cheaper than the current rate you would be paying in most cases, or very close to it. And the fact that they essentially can never take more than one hull point from you at a time means that you're a lot more survivable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2 left. Dan.
Preceptor. The model with it's 45 points, a little cheaper than the rest of them. Model with this upgrade may increase the ballistic skill by +1, gains the character unit subtype, and Preceptor special rule. This one's great. Anyway. Any unit of Armiger Warglaives or Armiger Helverins that have at least one model within 6 inches of a friendly model with the special rule, increase the leadership of all models in the unit to 9. Meh. I thought it would buff the ballistic skill. This one is.
Remember, those guys have leadership 7.
Oh, they're leadership 7? I thought they were leadership 8.
Yes.
Oh,
No, they're leadership 7.
Ooh.
And they're
Actually-
pinnable.
And
Yeah,
they're
the
pinnable.
leadership's really
All right,
bad.
this actually went up in my list then. this went up in my list. I didn't realize that. Okay. It's neat. Again, if you're gonna play much more of an Armiger heavy force, this buffs them to leadership 9 within 6 inches. Yeah.
All right. That gives us one last thing left. Ulans, which is 30 points. A model with this upgrade increases movement characteristics by 4 and gains the character unit subtype and gains scout and outflank. And a Cassis Knight Porphyrion cannot be given this upgrade, thankfully.
So remember that Lancer you were talking about how it could first turn charge? Now it absolutely 1000% first turn charges because that sucker is running 22 inches odd. He's 14 +4 for this, +4 for the flank. So he's moving 22 and he scouts forward.
And he's getting a +3 on the charge.
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, you don't even need to flank and speed him. Just move him 18 up from wherever he scouted from.
In case your opponent, deploys an
in the corner.
Back. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, this is a great one. This makes you super fast.
Yeah. I mean, so they talk about that character unit subtype because every one of them, except for the aspirant, makes you a character. So I'm glad they put in how it works for them being characters. Because otherwise you would never take any of these upgrades. It'd be terrible if their little sergeant's like, yo, I'm calling you out. Giant 40-foot tall monster of machinery.
Well, they're great. I don't know which one I like the most, to be quite honest. I mean, there are some I like more than others, but like Implacable's great.
Dolores is really
Dolores
good.
is great. Ulan is great. Seneschal you kind of need. Seneschal, even though it's 0 to 1, I would say you need to kind of.
Well, because a Seneschal is your leader, so you're going to take the leader. You're going to take a Seneschal. I think part of it depends on how many knights you have, but if you have a Seneschal, I think you have to take that. I think if you are taking someone who shoots a lot, I think you're looking probably towards the Arbalist, or the Arbalist. I think if you want to melee a lot, the Dolorous is probably the better of the options because it's a little bit cheaper. The Ulan is good as well. Here's the thing, though: knights tend to move pretty far. I like it. But I'm a little bit more concerned about my weapon skill generally being a 4. So, like, the more elite units who might be the units that can, like, really hurt me, I'm really bad against.
You know what I might like this with? The Flamer dude. Because remember, it's still a 16-inch flamer, 18-inch flamer. So
Yeah. Help get
giving
him
him an
into
extra
right position.
4 inches, yeah,
And even then, you have the ability of outflank too,
yeah.
on something like that, which isn't bad when you have that, because then you can be into the backfield immediately and just messing with people.
And you're not getting screened off the table by
No.
infantry. You need to be at
Because you
least a
walk over
tank.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, these are cool, and I like that this is something I wish they did in 1.0, and I'm glad they added this to
They
2.0.
had a version of this in 1.0.
Yeah,
But it worked differently where you changed the force org slot.
Yeah, it was
With
it.
this.
Listen,
It was weird last edition.
this is
This
good. I
edition,
like this.
it's very intuitive compared to
Yeah,
last
and
edition.
and I like it because you could, if you want to build that blast long range knight force, then do it. You can get arbalesters, seneschals, and if you want to build a really cool lancing strike force with melee, take the Dolores, maybe Ulan. If you want to take Death Guard, take Implacable. These are
Yeah.
just really cool. They can really customize your force, which I enjoy. Because
Yeah.
knights are kind of not customizable, with the exception of like the Questoris. They're kind of, you see what you get, and so this kind of customizes them slightly,
True.
which is nice.
And because also overall, there's very few choices when you build it together. Like when we look at other armies, okay, when we were reviewing different legions, your 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 legion may only get like maybe 4 special units, counting characters and all. Maybe you have more, but maybe 4. But the main book has dozens of things.
Yeah,
This entire list had what we talked about: 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 knights and 2 types of armigers. You had a total of 11 things. And let's face it, off of points, you're not taking a whole bunch of your stuff or points or slash money.
And
Let's face it, that's the other
everything's
downside of this.
basically either a 400 point block or a 200 point block with a little bit of wiggle in that.
Yeah.
This is
And
where
a couple of
you,
things at 600-point blocks.
yeah.
yeah.
I like this a lot, and I like the fact, and I know some people were complaining about it, but honestly, fuck them. I know some people were complaining about, like, oh, I'm forced to take armigers now. This sucks. You know what? It's better. It's better gameplay, because if you took an
Yes.
entire armor valued force, that sucks. Especially if your opponent does not have armor penetration. Even though they should, if they didn't have armor pen, it sucks.
Well, here's
The
the
fact
thing,
that you're
right?
forced to
Against
take armigers,
a tank army, grenades are viable because they're hitting rear
exactly.
armor. Against knights, it's not viable because you're hitting the front armor.
The only
Yeah.
kind of changes I would like to see are, like, I want to see armigers act as contemptors. That was just an oversight, and they needed. I'm sorry, they need to oversight some of the weapons.
Well, they need to
As
count.
Dave said it.
They need to count as a vehicle for special rules,
Yes,
or count as automata, or whatever, just so
or
they
something.
get hit by haywire. Just a note that says,
Yeah,
"Hey, yo, haywire and armorbane work as they do for dreadnoughts and automata."
yeah.
Just something in there. And this is something that makes lots of people very sad. We are missing the Armiger Moirax from this lineup.
No,
Night
it came out
house,
in the
no, night
PDF.
households don't get the Moirax.
Oh, we should have probably talked about the Moirax with the PDF for 5
No,
seconds.
nah, because they're not
We're
in.
doing night stuff.
Oh yeah,
We're doing night
exactly.
households.
Yeah, you could only get the Moirax with Mechanicum.
Mechanicum in the heavy support slot. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's not what we've discussed tonight. So it
yeah,
makes,
that's true. Yeah, it
obviously we'll
makes sense.
talk about it
That
when we
is
do
kind of weird.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That is kind of weird that happened. Actually, I have the book, so I realized it, but it's like I didn't really realize. I don't know how to explain it.
It
You
was
know what I
a
mean?
big point of contention for people. Like,
Yeah.
what's missing?
Let's be honest, though; they're not really much different from the other armigers. They don't really
Well,
add
the
much.
weapon loadouts are way different.
Yes, but it's all about the knights.
They have some special rules, but it doesn't matter because they're not
It
there.
doesn't matter. Exactly, it doesn't matter. They're not there. But yeah,
I wouldn't say it's all about the knights, because at the end of the day, one, you're going to be taking more armigers than knights. The knights are like the cool piece, but you're going to have more armigers.
yeah,
And let's just also face it, you're more likely, unless your goal was to always build up a knight army, you're more likely to just have more armigers because they're in plastic, they're cheaper, you need them anyway. You're probably not going to have a lot of Forge World Knights just off the start. I would say if this is an army you want to start with, figure out the one knight you truly want, get some armigers, save up, grab that knight. There you go. Now you have a start, and then just you can get more armigers or a plastic Questoris model that fits the loadout that you want, and then you are good to go for as long as you want to be.
Not only that, converting dollars to points, Armigers are more efficient.
Yes.
For $85, get 400 points of Armigers versus 170 for 400 points of Knight Warden. We are also missing the Knight Valiant and the Knight Castellan from the lineup entirely. They were in last edition as a PDF release. I don't know if they're coming back because we already got the Legacies document for the Mechanicum book, and it's not in there. But that doesn't mean it won't get added later. It also doesn't mean it will get added later. We don't know. And I think that's the thing. So if you had to pick one knight to add to your Dark Angels, which would it be, Dave?
Oh God. Okay. Our point. So do I have parameters?
Points are not an object. It's just you're adding a knight because you really like this knight and you want it to go in your Dark Angels army.
Yeah.
You think it's just the coolest thing and it would go so great.
I should also
with them.
point out, you probably want to timestamp this. I will point out too.
No, I'm not going to.
There are many, many, many other places. Not other places. If you're buying a knight and you really want to do like a Dark Angel knight, or you want to do because I want to shout these guys out because I do use them, and you want to buy really cool bits for them, right? Like let's say you want to really use, I don't know, a freaking Dark Angel knight, right? There are places that actually like have resin bits that they print to add on to your knight to make it a Dark Angel or to make it an Iron Warrior. For example,
hate that so much.
Well, why do you hate it?
Why do you hate it? Actually, I'm just curious.
So knight households are very proud organizations, and I like that the only people that they will say, yeah, I'm kind of your whipping boy now. Might want to cut that. Is the only ones that they'll be subservient to are Forge Worlds and Titan Legios. Having them go, yes, I am going to bow down to these Space Marines and be one of them.
It's more of,
and Space Marines, just as a combat doctrine, don't do knights. So when people say, like, oh yeah, this is my Ultramarines Warhound, it just hurts my soul.
Well, no,
like,
it's more
I can take a little campaign badge, like, thank you for fighting alongside us. But if you're like, yes, this is my Space Wolves players and Ultramarines players, I swear to this the most. This is my Space Wolves Knight. I'm going to reach across the table and slap you.
Well, so
in my brain, I'm not physically going to assault you. But I'm going to think about it really hard.
The reason I say that is because they also do. If you don't want to do that and you have a conniption against that, they also do Dark Mechanicum bits as well. Like that's some really cool Dark Mechanicum pipe work and stuff. So yeah, it's just if you really quick, I like, for example, my Custodians that I own. I actually have a Custodians Knight. And the fluff is that he was actually given like a lot of the regalia because he guards the palace. Like that's a Knight Titan in the palace because there's a Titan Legion in the palace as well as Knight Titans.
Yeah, wait, because all the Custodians are sleeping on the job.
Hey. Stop that.
If you send me the links, I'll put it in.
I'll say it and then I'll send it to you. So Tarot Model Maker, they're excellent. They also do weapons too, by the way. They do like shields and like maces for your Imperial Knights, which is super
see, that's
awesome.
hella dope.
Yeah. Have you never seen them?
I might have come across them like
when you get the chance
to
later on after the podcast ends. I want to hear your reaction on these. But yeah, Tarot Model Maker, Iron Wolf minis. Honestly, if you just type Knight Titan bits on Google, you'll get many of the major ones.
I know someone does like old school Lancers, I think, had the Centaur configuration, and someone makes those.
That's one of these guys. Yes, he does have those bits. Yes, sir.
So if you wanted to have like a kind of plastic Cerastus Knight, you could get some of those third-party bits, and people go, "Wow, that's kind of dope." See, that kind of stuff I'm cool with.
Yeah. So I mean, the Porphyrion is the coolest looking one. That's honestly what I would go with because he looks the coolest. He's also good. Don't get me wrong, but like if points and money were no concern, that's the one because he's neat.
I mean, you are doing Dreadwing, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Just everything is now dead.
Exactly. That's what it does well. Would I want to put it together though? Oh no, I don't want to work with any of that amount of resin.
They're not bad. I will point. I've done them. The Forge World Knights. No, the cabling is the only annoying part because you have to heat it up and then you got to do all the shit to it. But I will, as someone who has built like 6 of them, I will admit they're not bad. They're very much like Gundams to put together.
It's probably easier than the plastic ones because like the upper leg is a piece plus an armor panel. Not like,
The
left
pistons.
half, right
Yeah.
half, and then like, the armor panel they couldn't get to come out at the right angle they wanted, so they split it into two pieces for the bolt injection. Like, I don't know. With the resin cast and the ability to undercut, it's gonna be big chunky pieces, which
The piston is the
is
worst.
heavy.
That's what it is. The pistons are the biggest pain in the ass. But other than that, yeah, that's my. I just wanted to point that out because there are some. I use these guys, so I wanted to shout them out because, I've shopped from them and they work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Dan, which one would you add well, you have Mechanicum Army, so I guess more Mechanicum.
Well, I have two Questoris. So, but if I had to buy another one,
Yeah.
I gotta say the Lancer. I owned the Lancer and I regret selling it, and the only reason is because the Lancer model they're superposable. The Forge World models are superposable, like ridiculously posable.
Yeah.
The Lancer can be posed in so many cool goddamn. I had my Lancer like pinned to the base and had like metal underneath it because it would topple, and he was like lunging forward with the lance, like about to just stab something in front of it. It was amazing. Or it'd be the Porphyrion. Honestly, it'd be I've been wanting a Porphyrion for literally years, and I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger yet. But I've been wanting a Porphyrion. I want a Poppy Knight. I want a Popcorn Knight so badly.
All right. What about you, Steve?
It's the Styrix. I know it's not good this go around with the AP4 on the Volkite, but I just love the way it looks. I actually have one I've been very slowly working on for. Oh god, we're going on 2 years now. Whew. I promise it's a real model and I'm working on it. But when the new Chaos Knight came out, I went, wow. I like those reverse jointed legs they got going, right? Like the Armigers have. It's got a little extra joint in there, right? So it would match the Armiger like shape of the leg. It would also match a lot of the Mechanicum models because they have that for the Usurax, for the Thalax and Vorax, which are all models that I like. I'm like, I could kind of thematically link them all together to have that kind of leg. So eventually, I'm gonna buy an entire Chaos Knight just for the legs because I cannot find anyone selling just the legs. And if someone's like, I want a knight, like, if you want, I'll give you the loyalist legs if you give me the trader legs. They're like, why? Like, I'll give you $20 extra. Don't ask questions. Why? Because I like them. Like, nah, I'll just keep mine. And I'm like, you suck. So Dan, if you want another knight and you want your little spiky, let me know. I'll trade legs.
I'll try. Oh, no, I actually do love the chaos legs.
See, that's the problem. They're so cool. I just need the legs.
So, fun fact: when I bought the Questoris Knight, I actually X-Acto knifed all the pipework and redesigned them to be chicken legs. Now, then the Chaos Knight came out, and I was like, "Fuck you, GW." But yeah, no, I actually redesigned all of them to do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I know there's a conversion kit you get to add that joint to the middle, but that involves cutting things apart and gluing and pinning them together.
By the way,
and with all the resin pieces, I don't want to deal with the weight of it on those kinds of joints. I want the continuous plastic that the Chaos leg is. And the armor panels I checked are perfectly compatible. I just need the base.
Yep. Kit. And Steve, I tagged you in the thing I posted on the Discord. That's what you were talking about, by the way.
Yep, those are the ones. Those are the pony legs.
All right.
Well, I think that will do it for us tonight, going through how to run an entire knight army. And that'll do it for us tonight. So, as I said, this episode was actually recorded several weeks back. Actually, at this point, maybe a month or so back. But just due to working with the software this was about our second recording with different software, we had some various issues. So it took a lot more cleaning up for this one. Actually, before releasing this, I just went through and hobbied while I listened to the entire episode again to make sure that there was no other weird hiccups. And I didn't catch anything beyond the ones that I edited out already. So we do want to thank everyone who does listen, whether you listen to us on a podcatcher that you have, or if you listen to us off of YouTube. Remember, we do put all these episodes up there as well as some additional content as we can. So a few bookkeeping notes. One, at this point we have went through the different legions and all, and it is very clear to us, obviously, that we made some mistakes as we went through those. At some point, I would like to make a list and maybe a short episode kind of discussing some of the more egregious ones, but we are endeavoring in the future to try and be more accurate, more careful with things. Part of it be by going over things multiple times ourselves first to make sure we have a good, clear understanding, and just being a little bit more careful with the rules, as well as I'm going to try to review things after the fact just to see if I catch anything as sort of a last minute change. We still think it's still all very good and valid, but there's obviously some changes that have occurred, either because of a mistake we might have made, or honestly also as FAQs and all of that start coming out. I know after we recorded one thing, GW FAQ'd it like a few days later to change to be really what it should have always been. So I think over some amount of time, we're going to have to actually go back and talk about things that were also changed related to, say, FAQs or other rulings, especially as we talk here about knights. They haven't done any yet, but yeah, I think there should be some big changes as you heard us talk about here. But overall, we should have another release this week as well. We had just went through the Sisters of Silence for the Imperial book, so my hope is to have that out for everyone by Friday. So that'll be 14th, 15th, that sort of time frame, if not by Friday, around there. Friday's the 13th, so hopefully 13th, 14th sort of time frame. Beyond that, we're going to see exactly what we get up to. We don't have definitive plans for this moment. We're kind of just seeing what suits our fancy and what we actually want to talk about. So we're trying to go off of levels of excitement for the moment. All right. Well, I said, as always, we do thank everyone who does listen. Likes, subscribes, shares, reviews, all that sort of stuff. Everything that everyone always begs you to do, we do the same because it all really does help us. Like I said, we do have the Facebook page where we do post all this information up as well. All right. Well, on behalf of everyone here at the show, have some good hobbying and some great gaming.